the support, it's almost impossible to not fire your heart out.
He's done it!
We're not going to need a roof.
It's about to be! What an absolute legend! The energy in this race.
Nights don't get any bigger than this for British mixed martial arts. Come on, listen to this crowd!
We are up for a real treat.
Welcome back to Fight Week on TNT Sports. We are in London for weigh-in day. We are 24 hours away from these athletes making the walk to this, the O2 Arena. I'm Adam Catterall. Pleasure as always to be in your company, and it is a pleasure to be with these two gentlemen, Nick Peet and the Hall of Famer himself, Mr. Michael Bisping. Something special about these London shows, isn't there?
Oh, there always is, but especially when Tom Aspinall is making his return. As we know, Tom has been such a mainstay for the last couple of years, and last time out had the knee injury. The fight ended very quickly. He's back, he's healthy, but he's got a solid test against Marcin Tybura. And then if you go down the fight card, we've got a lot of British favourites. Of course, we've got Molly McCann, the queen of the spinning elbow. It's going to be another fantastic night of fights, Nick.
It's a celebration of British MMA. We're in a really good place at the moment, aren't we, with the amount of names that we've got on this card that people can enjoy tomorrow night.
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of the first event we had in London after the pandemic, where, if you remember, Mo Mokiev kicked us off pretty early on that card, and it was just like a glutton of British victories. Fingers crossed we get something similar tomorrow.
Do you miss it when you're around it?
Of course he does.
Especially
running every morning at 6 a.m. Of course he does.
I mean, I must admit, every time I run past the O2 Arena, not you lot, every time I run past the O2 Arena in the mornings, yes, I look at it, fond memories. I don't know if I miss it. My body's falling apart. I'm old. I'm withered. I've got a broken back. But I'll still have a go.
He's still having a go. Right, we have got an action-packed show for you coming tomorrow, ahead of obviously these weigh-ins, which are going to be here with us in about 15 minutes from now. So let's have a look at it, shall we? Early prelims, we get going. Check these little bad boys out. And I'm going to tip one of these for maybe a fight of the night contender, especially that Chris Duncan and your pal Ash Moose. Sorry, you just heard a little bit of a blast in the background, people dropping cameras and what have you. Into the prelims. And look at that, 6 fights on the prelims, headlined there by Davey Grant, back on British soil for the first time since 2016. He was on your card against Henderson in Manchester. That's the last time he fought in England, Davey Grant, but he's back in a fantastic fight against UFC debutant Marcos. And then that main card gets going from 8 o'clock on TNT Sports and Discovery Plus, kicking off with Lerone Murphy and Josh Coulabau. Jai Herbert getting some main card action as well against Ziam. And then, of course, as Mike just mentioned a moment or two ago, it's heavyweights on deck, which are going to be headlining. It's Tom Aspinall versus Marcin Tybura, the return of Tom Aspinall, which I know that you're all extremely excited about. So let's get stuck into that, shall we? That is our main event. Talk me through this, because he's been out for a year. A lot of excitement about Tom, but Marcin Tybura is a guy that's on a hot streak right now.
Yeah, that's right. He's won 7 out of his last 8 fights against some very, very good opponents. He's big, he's strong, he can wrestle, he's got well-rounded skills, and he's coming into this one in the best shape of his career. Now, we always say that about fighters, and fighters always say that about themselves. I'm in the best shape of my career. He is significantly lighter, significantly more svelte, shall we say. And I think a lot of that is to do because he wants to deal with the speed of Tom, but also because he knows this is the biggest fight of his career. It's the main event, O2 Arena. It's a very big deal. He's pushed himself to the limit. So I'm expecting the best version of Marcin Tybura. But he's going to need to be, because Tom Aspinall is kind of a freak when it comes to the skills that he has as a heavyweight. He's so big, he's so agile, he's well-rounded. The speed of his strikes. I mean, look at this finish here of Sergey Spivak, a man that's doing great things. He's against Volkov, straight armbar. He can get the job done everywhere. He's the real deal.
Yeah, and obviously, as you said, you teed up there, Mike, Tybura's in great form now, and what we've seen with Tybura during this good form that he's in is he's willing to go into people's backyards, he's willing to take on the up-and-coming heavyweights, the big prospects, and get the job done. Like Tom, he can do it everywhere. He's got heavy hands, he's got good submission game. Yes, he's got 7 years more on the clock there, but as you can see, physically, not too much between them. The reach is very similar, and, as you can see, Marcin's had a lot more fights, he's got a lot more experience than Tom.
We've all spent a little bit of time this week with both of these athletes. Firstly, on Tom, been out for a year. He refers to that knee injury as a blessing in disguise. Are you seeing a different attitude from him this week?
Well, it's because his career was almost taken away, and it's only when you almost lose something, or when you do lose something, that you start to appreciate what you have. Yeah. And he said, having that almost taken away and realising how lucky I am to live this kind of life, to be a professional athlete, to earn a good living with the skills that he has, it's made him so grateful and so appreciative of the position that he's in. So he's been pushing himself to the extra level. He's always been very disciplined. He's not a a guy that's partying. He's a year-round athlete, but he's even stepped it up a notch. And his dad, Andy Aspinall, who's of course his long-time coach, his father, of course, so he's a big supporter. But he said he has never seen Tom like this. He said he's a completely different animal, and we're all in for a big surprise on Saturday night.
Absolutely. From Marcin's point of view, he seems cool, calm and relaxed this week. Obviously knows full well that if he get a win here against Tom at the weekend, he gets himself into the top 5 too.
Of course, and he's 37 years of age. Will this opportunity come again? As Mike just pointed out, it's a massive chance for him. He's the main event in London. A win over Tom Aspinall knocks Tom back. It doesn't end Tom's career, it knocks him back a lot. He has to rebuild for Marcin. A loss here, that's a significant loss at this stage of his career. So you know he's coming all guns blazing, but will it be enough for a generational athlete like Tom Aspinall is? We've never seen a heavyweight like Tom Aspinall in the UFC before.
Obviously he had 2 performances in the O2 last year. One blew the roof off it. The second one didn't go his way. He's looking for redemption come Saturday night. One person that is also looking to blow the roof off yet again in the co-main event is Meatball Molly McCann, taking on Julia Stolyarenko as well, who is coming down in weight to meet the Meatball.
Yeah, that's right. Listen, Molly's always fun, right? She sets the arena on fire from the moment she walks out, because she wears her heart on her sleeve, and that's the way she fights as well. I mean, look at this. I mean, she is just aggression right from the opening bell. She's just so much fun, so much action. Of course, the skill's getting better. And look at these 2 spinning elbows and then a beautiful combination to finish. She's so ferocious the way that she fights. She takes this career very, very seriously. But of course, last time out against Erin Blanchfield, didn't get the job done. And that is what this lady, Julia Stolyarenko, will be looking to take advantage of. I think when she looks at Molly, she sees a clear weakness on the ground, but that's easier said than done. And Molly's been doing a lot of work on the jiu-jitsu area, focusing on that primarily for this camp, because the word's out. The word's on the street, just take it down. She can't defend the takedown, she can't defend submissions, which is nonsense. But the last win, the last loss that she had kind of paints that picture.
Yeah.
Regarding her mentality, because we've just been speaking about Tom's a minute or two ago, she seems a lot more calmer this week, does Molly, than previous weeks that we've seen her here in London. Yeah,
she's Zen Molly, which we've never seen before. But that comes with maturity. That comes with making the cage walk so many times. You know, gone are the days when she was, bouncing around the hotels like a little firecracker. She's a lot more relaxed now. Good to see her last night hanging around the bar as well, just like taking everything in. That's what she likes to do. She likes to mix with everybody, mix with the people. That basically let you know that she was on weight last night, so there's going to be no issue with Molly today. That could be the story this morning. It could be Stolyarenko on the scales. Last time she weighed in at 140 pounds catch weight just in October. Today she has to weigh in at 126 pounds for the first time in a UFC career, so that could be the story today.
And Molly's eating carbs all week. Her weight is very, very low. You know, she's on the pasta. She's going to be feeling good, strong, energized, recovered. But it is going to be interesting to see her opponent, how she comes in on weight. It's first time making 125 for her, so a big drop.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully Molly will be joining us on the show at some point through the next couple of hours. One guy that we're all extremely excited to see is Nathaniel Wood. He was scheduled to be here in March. He had that freak injury through training, which kind of threw his fight off against Lerone Murphy. But he's back. He's on a London card. Hometown boy taking on Andre Feely.
Yeah, look, listen, Nathaniel Wood, we've always been high on this guy. I mean, the skills that he has are phenomenal, and he's just very, very good in every single area. He wasn't too active for a while, but now he's back and he's got a very good fight, because Andre Feely is a man that's been around the UFC for 10 years. He's got a massive body of work. He's huge for the weight class as well. And Feely thinks that that's going to be a big factor. He said, listen, I could never make 135. This is at 145. Nathaniel Wood made 135 for a long time. I'm bigger, I'm taller, I'm longer, I've got more experience, and he's going to feel that on the night.
Yeah. His 2 performances last year, Nathaniel, when we did actually eventually get to see him, were absolutely sensational. His step up in weight has actually gone really well so far, and this is a big one tonight, which could get him 14, 15 in the rankings.
And that's what it's all about. You know, there's himself, there's Lerone Murphy, there's also Jack Shaw, who's moved up from bantamweight to featherweight. We're rich, the Brits, when it comes to this featherweight division right now, and what we need to see from Nathaniel is another statement performance. But this is a step up in opponent, with all due respect. And you know, the media this week have been trying to get something going between Nathaniel Wood and Lerone, because they were matched up in March. It didn't happen. But to be honest with you, they've kind of shrugged it off and gone, listen, I want to be ranked, he wants to be ranked. Let's
did you see the video of them two going at each other on Instagram?
That was a conversation.
It was
wasn't
a little bit.
Okay.
There was a lot of tension there.
Yeah.
You could cut it with a knife.
But, you know, I think
they've got respective opponents to deal with.
Let's get them ranked first. and then we match them in the main event. That's
I agree.
Yeah, could be a cracking fight, that one. Now, one man that is doing something that Mike once upon a time did, come down from light heavyweight down to middleweight, my friend. I'm sure you can
Paul
give
Craig.
us
Paulie Craig is
some
now.
expert opinion on this.
Skinny Paul Craig.
Paul Craig down at middleweight taking on Andre Muniz. This could be a cracker.
It's going to be a great fight. Listen, I love the way Paul fights. He brings it every single time. But listen, he's had a couple of mixed results recently, but he's so exciting and he's so willing to just engage in any area. We know about the ground game. He's phenomenal on the ground. The jiu-jitsu is very, very high level. But that's what makes this fight so interesting. First of all, how's he going to get on the scale? He's had 12 pounds to cut this week, 6 kilos, so quite a lot. But he's going up against this guy, Andre Muniz. I'm telling you, the jiu-jitsu of this man is ridiculous. But he did lose by submission last time out to Brendan Allen, so that shows some good things for Paul Craig, you know. So I think this is probably going to play out on the floor. I think two guys that are technicians in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, they're going to want to see who's the best one out of it. So it's going to be a very interesting matchup.
Yeah, it should be a cracking fight, that one. And one guy that has been rewarded for his recent fan-friendly displays is Jai Herbert. He's on the main card and he's taking on Fares Ziam, who lit up Paris last year.
Yes.
Yeah, everyone loves Jai Herbert. I mean, the way that he fights, I mean, come on. He's so technical. He's so good. He's struggled with some results. I mean, he's kind of finding his groove lately. I mean, look at that. That was last year in March when he head kicked Ilia Topuria. Yeah. Almost finished the fight, and then sadly, you know, Topuria being the man that he is, turned it around and got the job done. But against Fares Ziam, this is a fight that's going to set this building on fire because Ziam, look at him flying. He's very similar to Jai Herbert in many ways, the way that they fight. So, as I say, this will be one to watch for Fight of the Night for sure.
Kicking off that main card, Nick, is a man that you're very fond of in Lerone Murphy. He had a horrible year last year. But he bounced back to action in March and he's been matched up here with a real tough fight against Josh Culibao.
He has, because Culibao can fight. You know, he's a really talented fighter. But Lerone, listen, we've been hiring this guy for a long time. He had 4 fights back to back in Abu Dhabi and just absolutely lit the place up. He looked phenomenal. But then, of course, he goes and gets knocked off his bike, ends up in a coma for the second time in his life. Really tough for him, but Culibao brings energy. This is what Lerone needs. He needs someone that's going to come at him and bring the best out in him. I think he stuttered a little bit in March. He wants to make a statement. He wants to show people, hey, I was in a coma 10 months ago. I'm lucky to be here. Now he wants to get back on track to get into those featherweight rankings.
That one's got low-key Fight of the Night written on it, hasn't it?
There's a lot of fights on here that look like Fight of the Night, but Culibao, I love everything about him. And when you speak to Culibao, he says, when I look at Lerone Murphy, it's like a mirror image of myself.
Yeah.
You know, they both bring it, they're both powerful, they've both got very fast, powerful hands. It's going to be a great fight. And I think, as you said, you know, last time out he won by decision. Lerone wants finishes, he wants to make statements. And this is the kind of fight that's dangerous for both men, but could see a finish on either side.
100%.
Just because the stylistic matchup.
Absolutely. Just looking at the clock, we've got a couple of minutes before the guys and girls hit the scales, which are just behind us. We're going to be keeping you through this throughout the whole course of the morning. Hopefully they're nice and fast and they don't give us anything too much to talk about.
We'll be waiting for Big Tom.
Because we want all these fights,
I
obviously,
saw Tom
to stay
down
on.
at the breakfast buffet this morning. Has he? He's down there taking his time. He's
Heavyweights,
chilling.
man.
You know, he's soaking it all in.
Heavyweights. Listen, a little bit of information for you because you're going to want to watch these fights, of course. TNT Sports is your destination for this. Those prelims, the early prelims, come and join us from 4:45. Got a nice special show lined up for you as we build up to the first fight, which will kick off just after 5 o'clock, and then that main card gets going from 8 o'clock. Big ramifications on that main event, isn't there? Because we've got that fight with Ciryl Gane and Spivak coming up in Paris. We know what the title fight is. It's important that Tom... He's talking the talk this week. He's got to put a performance in. Either of these men have got to put a performance in, and then they've got to aim for the big guys, haven't they? They've got to be saying, listen, I want to be on that card at Madison Square Garden to make a statement to push forward in 2024 for a title shot.
Tom was always talking about taking it easy, taking my time. I'm not in a rush. That's all changed now. I think having a year out has, you know, woken up the fire inside of him. He wants to fight the winner between Ciryl Gane and Sergey Spivak. Of course, he destroyed Sergey Spivak before, but regardless, with the year out, he'll take whoever it is. And then if he can, let's just assume Ciryl Gane wins for a second. If he fights Ciryl Gane and he can beat Ciryl Gane, he's literally right there. I would say is the next guy to challenge whoever wins between Stipe Miocic and John Jones. I mean, Tom, if he can win this fight, he inserts himself right back to where he was, like the last year off didn't even happen. He'll be right there, one of the top contenders, and very close to becoming a champion.
Yeah, that mental reset's been really impressive. Watching him this week, listening to him, speaking to his dad as well, who's built this super gym of heavyweights that are all beating the living daylights out of him on a day-by-day basis.
Well, that's it. It wasn't just a mental reset for Tom to go, wait a minute, I nearly lost my career there. What am I waiting for? I'm going for it, which we have seen that mentality. But it's the fact that that forced time away meant they could go, well, what's right and what's wrong? What are we doing? We're travelling all this way to training every day. No. Let's build a gym down the road. Let's invite all the biggest monsters in the UK to come and train with us. And it's worked for them because everybody else around the country's gone, oh yeah, I've got no one to train with either. So suddenly you've got 10 or 12, 260 pounds, 6'5", 6'6" monsters rocking up in Atherton and Greater Manchester every morning to roll on the mats.
They're scaring the life out of everyone because they're all walking around the hotel. There's like 6 or 7 gigantic monsters. I was in a lift yesterday at the shopping centre across the street with a buddy, and they came walking in, all of them. There was a woman there, and she was like just going to the gym. She's like, who are you people? What's going on? I'm like, don't worry, they're fighting this weekend. But yeah, they're scaring the life out of everyone, the big, nasty, bearded men.
As you can hear, the dulcet tones of John Good are just behind me, just about to get the weigh-ins underway. So let's get straight to it, shall we? Oh, here he is, Yanal Ashmouz.
The return of Yanal Ashmouz. Listen,
he lit up UFC London earlier on in the year, didn't he?
He was the party pooper in March, wasn't he? He silenced the O2 with that performance against Sam Patterson.
Yeah, I mean, he made short work of Sam. Sadly to say, caught the kick, cracked him again on the way down, and that was it. He's very explosive, ridiculously powerful. He's got a fantastic coach, a great skill set, and obviously looking to replicate a similar performance what he had last March.
And Chris Duncan is all action as well. That fight is going to be must not miss.
Mate, that's 2 badges in a sack, isn't it? Hey, to use a reference that I like to use, the two of them are just going to fly at each other. That for me, even though it's so early on the card, is the sleeper for fight of the night.
$136 for the number 7 ranked Pani Kianzad.
Former tough runner-up, got 5-1 form in the UFC. Good win over Landsberg back in April.
Next up in the men's flyweight division, Jeffel Filho.
Kicking off the card.
There he is, first fight of the night, taking on Daniel Barez. Jeffel Filho, I think he's had 1 fight in the UFC so far.
Yeah, it was March. He took on Mokhiev here in March,
didn't he? He nearly took Mo's knee off,
didn't he? He did, yeah.
He nearly did. He got it. It was deep. I mean, I thought Mohamed Mokhiev was done. It could have been done, looking how deep that submission was. But the fact he was able to almost get that against someone the calibre of Mokhiev says a lot about his potential.
Absolutely. He kicks off the early prelims.
From the US of A, Andre Fili.
Here's Nathaniel Wood's opponent, Andre Fili. He's been cool, calm, relaxed all week around the hotel as Andre Fili, hasn't he, Nick?
Hey, listen, he's cool as a cucumber. He's made this walk so many times. He's an absolute veteran, as Mike said earlier. 10 years in the game. He knows what it's all about. He's seen it all before. And he knows that he's in a great spot here to silence the crowd. Really silence the run of Nathaniel Wood up in the featherweight division.
And he's incredibly skilled, talented in all areas. I mean, his kickboxing is beautiful to watch. He's got clean, fast, explosive double leg takedowns. Trains at Team Alpha Male with Uriah Faber and all those other people. So he's got a legendary corner team. Yeah. And here is his boy.
That's right.
Nathaniel Wood. Coming out thick and fast here, Adam.
I like it. He's had a little bit of a weird relationship with UFC London's, hasn't he? Obviously, he lost the fight last March on the day of the fight when his opponent was pulled out medically. He had 2 great performances last year, and then earlier on this year he had to pull out the fight with Lerone because of that freak knee injury.
Yeah, if anyone could do with a good gun of luck, obviously it's Nathaniel Wood. But this move up to featherweight has been fantastic for him. It's been like a breath of fresh air. And not only has he won 2 fights, but he's won them both in absolute style as well.
Ooh. Those two have been neck and neck backstage.
Yeah,
like
they have, yeah.
Here comes Lerone, who's kicking off the main card, like I said, from 8 o'clock on TNT Sports tomorrow evening. He's in some shape, is this boy?
He's always in phenomenal shape, but that's the whole point about when we look back to March. He was in a race just to get back into the octagon. He said he hadn't fully recovered from his injuries, but he wanted to get back in there and silence doubters. Silence the doctors that said you won't fight again, when he first got the injury. So he believes he's back at 100% now, and he believes he's going to make a bit of a statement performance.
And he's been using his time off wisely. He's been travelling all over the place, training out in Thailand. He's made quite the friendship with Dominic Cruz. Yeah. Dominic Cruz, obviously, legendary bantamweight, one of the greatest ever. He's been leaning on him for a lot of advice, training tips, how to deal with injuries, all kinds of things. So Dominic's really been helping him out, giving him like a kind of a mentorship role.
Good.
Here comes Andre Muniz, who's taking on Paul Craig. Muniz, he's a sensational submission artist. It's going to be interesting to see the tactics that Paul applies for this particular fight because of how good his grappling is.
It's going to be interesting to see the tactics of both men.
Yeah.
You know, because listen, Muniz has decent striking, very, very good. As I said, he lost last time out, but prior to that, this man was just destroying everyone. Of course, there's a submission of the legendary grappler Jacare Souza, who's one of the best submission guys we've ever seen in the UFC. He was able to tap him out via armbar. So grappling second to none, but that doesn't mean he can't lose, because last time out, rear naked choke to Brendan Allen.
Are you ready?
And here's the man himself.
Here we go. From light heavyweight down to middleweight. Let's see where he's at. 186 to hit.
He's no longer big Paulie Krieg. He's wee Paulie Krieg.
There it is, on the money.
186 pounds for Paul Craig.
You know, he's had a very scientific approach. He hasn't just been winging this and just restricting carbs and not recovering. He's been working with a nutritionist very, very closely, very scientifically. He actually did a test cut a while ago and made 186 then. So it's not actually the first time he's done 186. He's made that before because he wanted to be sure he could actually do it and then compete.
It's one thing making weight though, Mike, and then it's another thing performing at that weight as well. So tomorrow's a big thing for him.
Here she is. Sure. She's been bouncing around the hotel all week, as Mike said right at the top of the show. She's been eating carbs. She's done this incredibly well. Zen Molly on the scales.
She was on weight last night.
Well, you just learn how to deal with the emotions. There she is.
Championship weight as well.
£5 for Meatball Molly McCann.
On weight, big smile on her face. Yeah, she was saying to us yesterday in the fighter meetings that, you know, listen, this is an exciting thing, you know, and you come from a certain kind of background and all of a sudden you're getting attention, you're walking out there in front of 20,000 people. It's hard to control that adrenaline, it's hard to control that energy, and I learned along the way. And she said now she's starting to get used to it, she's starting to control and just try and stay calm, and that will really help her. Not only in the fight, but just leading up to it, fight week, not wasting nervous energy. But here's your boy Nick.
Yeah.
First time since 2019, I think, in
Pre-pandemic.
London. He's been on the road as the boy. It's nice to have him back.
He has, yeah. Listen, he's based out of Florida. You know, he does all his training out at Killcliff over there. But, you know, he was huge when he came into fight week this week. He's such a big, natural athlete. And listen, he knows what it's all about. He knows he needs to try and put a few wins together otherwise. He's a fan favourite. He always has been. Highlight reels, win, lose or draw. But he wants to put a run together, you know. He's working hard. He's working with some of the best guys in the world. He's training with Shavkat. You know how I feel about Shavkat. He's the future of the welterweight division, day in, day out. And he wants it to pay off for himself.
And he's had some great fights, even in the ones that sadly he came up short in. You know, he looked very, very good. I mean, we know he's got bags of talent. And speaking of bags of talent, here's a hot prospect, 5-0, Shauna Banner, making a UFC debut. I mean, if you look at her record and you look at the stats, I mean, there's so many qualifications, so many tournaments. God knows how many times world kickboxing champion, karate champion, IMAF champion, you name it, she's done it, been there, done it, got the t-shirt. She was born into martial arts through her father, lifelong martial artist, making a UFC debut, and she's very excited.
I spoke to her in the hotel the other day and I was like, are you okay? You're nervous? And she looked at me like I was daft and she was like, I'm absolutely fine. And I'm like, well, yeah, I guess so with your experience. Maybe I'm not surprised.
Now this guy's all action obviously came to all our attentions on the Contender Series last March, or earlier this year in March should I say. He had an absolute firecracker of a fight which he came through and got a split decision victory, and this against Ashmouz is set to be something very, very special. Here's Chris Duncan.
Well, there's two men that are going to collide in the octagon, as we said. I mean, Chris Duncan is excitement personified. I'll never forget that fight on the Contender that I called out in Vegas. It wasn't looking good, and then you know he was taking a real hiding, but that's the kind of the heart that the man has. And then he delivered a thunderous knockout and shocked the world. I mean, it was crazy. Everyone in the apex were out of the seat. It was quite something, and that's what he brings every time.
Here comes Catterall, taking on Pani Kianzad. Kianzad came in around about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, so Catterall Vieira, she's been around for a long time now, had about 8 or 9 UFC fights. Been in there with, I mean, last time out against Raquel Pennington, she was fighting for the bantamweight title next. She's fought Holly Holm. She actually beat Holly Holm
and
by a
Misha
split
Tate,
decision.
back to back, yeah.
And Misha Tate. So
for the number 4 ranked Catterall Vieira.
She's been in there with some of the absolute best. You know, submitted Sarah McMahon via arm triangle. who has fought for the belt as well, Kat Zingano. I mean, you're talking a lot of the biggest names in female mixed martial arts.
And listen, you're looking at a division now without a champion, with a vacated belt in the bantamweight division. A big performance for her this weekend could well secure her a title opportunity.
Without question.
Next up
Without
in the
question.
flyweight division, making his UFC debut, Daniel Perez.
He'll be kicking us off. Well, Daniel Perez, making his UFC debut, as John just said there, taking on Jafel Filho. Filho, the guy that faced Mo Mokaev in March earlier on this year. A fantastic back and forth between him and Mo, and this is an opportunity for Perez making his UFC debut.
Yeah, we've got a couple of guys based out of Spain on this card as well, which is interesting. Perez, we first seen him on Dana White's Contender Series back in 2021. He lost that fight, but he did exactly the right thing. He's gone away, he's won 4 fights back to back since, and he's given the UFC no option to go, okay, well, you're obviously good enough, let's give you an opportunity. And he gets it this weekend.
Well, that's what it's all about. You go to the Contender Series, if you're good and you make a big splash and you get a knockout, you get a contract. If you lose, it doesn't mean it's the end of the road. You go, you improve, you get better, and you keep trucking on.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
And here he is.
The Black Country banger, that is Jai Herbert. Who, and Nick, you pointed this out, I know that his record says 2-1-1, but if you actually analyse those fights that he's had in the UFC, Jai, he's in a decent vein of form.
Yeah. Listen, he had those 2 sensational wins, the Karma Worthy win, the Ludwig Klein fight back in March. You know, he's winning that fight comfortably, 2 groin strikes, he gets penalised the point, he ends up drawing the fight. Even the one that he lost, Ilia Topuria, he wins the first round, he dropped Topuria with a head kick, looks sensational. Topuria turned it round, don't get me wrong, and got a finish in the second round, but when I was chatting to Jai, I was like, you should be confident because you're in good form, you're moving in the right direction, and he feels the same way.
Now this guy, last time he fought in England was on Bisping Henderson in Manchester, 2016. He's been away, he's been on the road, he's been knocking people out, he's fell in love with his hands, but he's a fan's favourite and I can't wait to see him.
Davey Grant is probably one of the most underrated fighters on the roster. Number
Correct.
one, as a human being, I love this guy. He's always got a big smile on his face. He's a lovely man, he's a family man, but inside the octagon, he fights like a maniac. He's so good. I've known him for years. I've known him for a very, very long time. He's got great jiu-jitsu, excellent wrestling. He's got wins over people like Marlon Chito Vera. That was back when I fought Anderson Silva. Been around for a long time, been fighting out in America. Davey Grant, take a bow, man. I'm a big fan of that guy.
He's a talented submission artist himself. Joel Alvarez about to hit the scales.
Yeah.
Taking on Mark Chichese. I think he's got 16 subs, 13 in the first round, this fella.
This guy is incredible on the ground. His submission game is ridiculous. He's extremely tall for the weight class. Good striking as well. And he's going up against
Mark Chichese.
Mark Chichese.
Chichese.
It's a tough fight for Mark, it really is.
Yes.
Speaking of tall, long,
Handsome men.
thin,
Thin,
full
thin.
head of hair guys,
Yep.
we are joined by the one and only Paul Craig.
How you doing, guys?
Very well indeed, mate. More importantly,
First question, how do I look on stage?
look great, mate.
Skinny.
Yeah,
I mean,
man,
you
very
look
skinny.
like you might walk into a wall or two. You're like,
How was it? How was it?
I'm not going to lie, it was difficult, but I feel that this is our weight class. I said it the other day when I was speaking to you, but I feel that this is where I should be. The weight cut, I was expecting to be a lot harder. I was expecting myself to be a lot more drawn. I know my voice still sounds a little bit wavery, but in a few hours I'm going to be back to 100%.
Well, it's like what you were saying the other night. It's a weight class. There's people dropping down to this weight, so you actually feel like this is what you've always supposed to be
What
doing.
is it they say? Prepare for war, pray for peace. So I've prepared for war by losing all this weight. I'm ready to go to war, but I'm praying for a peace, and I'm praying for peace in that fight. Nice, easy fight.
so you prepared for war. So let's talk about the opponent, Muniz.
Yep.
A lot of similarities between you two in terms of skill sets. I mean, you're both good on the feet, but you both specialise in the ground. What kind of fight are you expecting?
I was saying this the other day. I expect it to be one in that exchange of range. You know,
Yep.
if I can keep him at distance and I can use my heavy shots, then I think I'm going to shock him and force him to try and take me down. And we've seen in his last fight, although jiu-jitsu is good, he looked average his last fight, and that's why he lost the fight.
Yeah.
Whereas if he takes me down and I'm in my back, that's my specialty. That's where I want to be. So me as a fighter fighting him, I think it'd be silly of him to rush in and get a takedown on me. So I think he's going to try and stay in at that range as well and make it an ugly fight. You know what it's like? Two grapplers always make a good stand-up fight.
Yeah, they do.
Absolutely. What we've seen with you previously, Paul, is you're happy to pull guard. Would that be a mistake against someone like Muniz?
I don't think it's a mistake, but I think over the last 6 months in the gym, I think I've just developed massively, and I would like to showcase that. Pulling guard looks good when you pull guard and get a submission victory in the first round. Pulling guard for 15 minutes does not look good, and it does not look good for the judges. So although if it goes our way in the first couple of minutes, that's perfect, but we're not looking for that. We're in London, we're putting on a performance.
Can we just pause for 1 second?
Yeah.
Because Julia Stoliarenko's just
should
about
be
to scale.
interesting.
She's never hit 125 to
And last
126
time she
before.
weighed 140 pounds, Paul. She's dropping down.
125
There you go.
Oh,
done it.
for
Done it.
Julia
No problem.
Stoliarenko.
There's Molly poking around the corner over there, having a little spy. Going, how's she looking? How's she looking? She did well, Molly. I'm sorry to say, she's made weight.
She's happy. She wants to scrap.
No, of course, but she wants to have a terrible weight cut. Paul, just going back to your fight.
Yeah.
When you lose fights, that's when you do learn, and that sounds like such a cliche, but it's so true, because you look at things, you have to analyse why that happened. What have you learned over your last couple of fights?
Definitely stepping across the octagon for Johnny Walker. Like, we weren't the same beast. I looked at him and I was like, so this is what a weight cut can do for you?
Yeah.
And that was part of the process of being
He's a monster.
He is. He's obviously an outlier in that division, and he balloons our way back up to, like, I think it was 112 kilograms.
Wow.
And when I think I'm doing well, be coming back up to like a 97.
That's insane.
So then we're fighting in two different weight classes. So that was one of the reasons why we're like, right,
You want to be that guy?
I want to be that guy. I want my opponent to see me step on the scales and be like, you look skinny. And then when it comes to the fight night and he's standing across the octagon and he looks at me and he's going to go, that's not the same guy.
Yeah.
He's blown back up to himself.
So talking of which, you weighed in at 84 kilos just now.
Yep.
What do you think tomorrow night when you step in the octagon? What do you think you'll be?
When we did the fake cut or the practice cut, we ballooned all the way back up to 99 fight day.
99.
So that's heavier than I was previous fights.
That's
insane.
Jeez.
But that's because
15 kilos.
Yep, that's because we've stripped all this fat
Done it right.
and done it properly, as opposed to not doing a weight cut, because we've not really done a weight cut. When you look at me, you're looking at Paul stepping on the scales previous fights and being like, yep, he looks good, he looks well at himself, but now you're seeing a better version of myself.
And for people at home, that sounds lunacy. It sounds absolutely insane, but it's all about water manipulation, right, Paul? And there's a science to it, there's a way to do it, there's a safe way to do it. So I'm impressed.
What have the kids made of Skinny Dad?
Oh, Skinny Dad has to rein it in, because sometimes you're like, something so trivial as watching a cartoon, you're like, I'm going to have to go away. I'm going to have to go in, because the last thing you want to do...
That sounded like the most Scottish thing ever.
I know, the last thing you want to do is turn into your parents, do you? Because you're like, as parents, we're always like, right, we don't want to catch ourselves as being our parents, but there's times where when you're cutting weight, you
Are the kids eating lots of like chocolate and crisps?
Yeah.
And all that good stuff?
like they're not even, there's
No
not even
consideration.
no solidarity for the Craig household.
So what's the meal tonight then? Because you've been so disciplined throughout. Are you going to allow yourself a little treat, or are you going to maintain the discipline for one more night?
It's discipline. It's a couple hours. We get to the fight and then we'll celebrate.
Yeah.
So tonight, the nutritionist Lee from Boxing Science has got me some pasta already made up, and he's already excited.
Have you not made it fresh? I mean, that's going to be sitting down
No,
the night before.
It's all about prep.
Your huge
prepare,
fight.
all about preparation. But what he's been teasing me, and he's been like, got you some garlic bread. I'm like,
Oh, mate, you're in. You're in.
some garlic bread. And he's like,
bread.
And he's like, some cheese on it as well. I'm like, keep talking dirty to me.
Listen, we'll let you go and rehydrate, my friend.
Guys,
Enjoy
it's
your
a
day.
pleasure.
Enjoy your day. We're looking forward to seeing you do your thing. Take care,
and
my man.
enjoy it.
Yes.
Enjoy the moment.
Absolutely. There he is, Paul Craig. Make sure you're tuning in a little bit later on, because he always brings it for the ceremonials. He gets the war paint on.
Yes.
He gets stuck in big time, doesn't he? So I've no doubt he'll be pumping the crowd up a little bit later on. But like he said there's a lot of people in that light heavyweight division that were heavyweights coming down.
Yeah.
And he's literally a middleweight going up. It's going to be interesting to see how he reacts tomorrow night.
I mean, if he can go back up to 99 kilos, that's massive. I mean, because living in the States for 12 years, I kind of do it in the pounds, and they do it in pounds here anyway, so you kind of convert to that system. But when I was at 84 kilos, I would go back up to about 93. And I thought that was a lot. You know, he's going up to 99. That's a massive, massive amount to put back on.
Interesting that part of it, though, was looking across the cage at Johnny Walker and going, wait a minute, what am I doing in this weight class if he's in the same weight class? And
that's an extreme example, though, because
he's
Anthony
huge.
Smith, who I know very well, he's a big light heavyweight as well, and he said the same thing. He's not a small light heavyweight, but he was like, oh my God, Johnny, he's a freak for that weight class.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a big old boy, isn't he? Now listen, one fight that we're incredible. Well, there's a lot of fights that we're incredibly excited for tomorrow.
Yes, mate.
And this guy who's joining us on the show right now, he's in one of those fights. We've told him all week that you could be the man that sets the tone here. Chris, welcome to the show. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, thanks. Good, how are you?
Very well, man. Listen, very excited about this fight tomorrow night. Look at your smiley face. You're absolutely giddy, ready to get in there and do your thing, aren't you?
It's because I've got some water in my hand.
It feels so good,
I know.
doesn't it?
Oh, you can't even describe how good it feels after you've jumped at the bath and you get one of these in you.
Yeah. Yanal Ashmouz, the guy that you're going up against, obviously I had an incredible debut last year, took out Sam Patterson in devastating fashion. When you look at this matchup, what kind of fight are you expecting tomorrow night?
He's a better dance partner for sure. So obviously when it comes to fighting there needs to be two guys. Omar didn't want anything to do with me last time. I think he knew his job was on the line last time, obviously losing 2 in a row. So I obviously handed his P45 and that was it, you know, but I feel that Yanal's coming to fight. He's a better dance partner. I'm ready to show the world how better I've become, because doing those training camps in American Top Team with Dustin, Grant Dawson and the Bellator welterweight champion as well, you know, he helped me massively, you know, and he man, like, that guy's incredible. He just looked after me, and you know, being over there away from the family and stuff, you know, that guy kind of took me under my wing, so I'm very grateful for that.
Ashmouz coming in March and had that performance, Chris, and he's obviously, you know, he'll be riding the crest of a wave, and he'll be thinking, I want to do that again, I want to silence this crowd again. Is your tactics early on not to give him those opportunities and take him into, not necessarily deep water, but let's see him in 2 and 3 and let's see what he's like then?
Yeah, well, they give me the nickname The Problem for the reason, you know, problem by name, problem by nature, so anything somebody throws at me, I'm going to do the absolute opposite to show them what I'm all about, you know.
How, you just saying there about your little trip to America, training with some elite guys in there. How was it rocking and rolling with people like Dustin?
Dream come true, man. Dream come true. Like standing next to a guy like Mike as well, you know. And it's like every time I used to make a wish, you know, blowing candles out, and if you see a shooting star, you know, I used to say I want to be in the UFC, and you know, now I've got a new wish. You know, I'm going to try and break that top 15. You know, and it's just incredible. Sometimes I'm like, you know, pinching myself, you know.
Now you belong to be, you're supposed to be here, man. You're supposed
So
to be here.
Absolutely, I know that for sure.
So when you're training out there with the biggest superstars in the sport, I remember when I used to train with Quinton Rampage Jackson, and we used to spar, and I used to do decently, and that was so good for my mindset, because I'm like, hold on a minute, this guy's the light heavyweight champion of the world, and I'm doing really well here. Have you found that it gives you confidence in your self-belief and your abilities?
Absolutely, man, and I owe it all to the guys that actually jump in the room with me, because Dustin, Grant Dawson, you know, these guys are actually saying, oh, listen, you know, this is what we do this, and I'm picking it up, and that's good teammates for you, you know. And yeah, it's like you do get confidence, you know. You go into the American Top Team cage, full size cage in the gym. You go in there, it's fight scenery, people watch, and then you're doing really well against these top guys. You're like, oh my God, I'm supposed to be here. I had a little bit of imposter syndrome myself going over there, especially being in the Contender Series. People saying, oh, he's got the Contender Series shot, is he going to make it? And then, you know, here I am.
Apologies
Grant
for
Dawson.
the language.
From Scotland, sorry.
Grant Dawson a couple of times there. The grappling and the top pressure of that man is unbelievable. And as Brits, we don't grow up with a high school wrestling program like they do in America. Is that something that you've taken full advantage of and has really helped improve your game?
Absolutely. Him and Yaroslav from Bellator, those two guys, I can't believe how amazing they are at grappling, you know. And traditionally I was a striker, now I'm turning into a grappler a little bit and learning the ropes.
I was down at the Four Nations Championships in South Wales last weekend, and you know, gold medals, silver medals, bronze medals galore for the Scottish team. What's going on north of the border? Because right now the talent's coming out of Scotland is insane.
The water's different.
the Highland Spring, that's what it is.
Yeah. Highland Spring, yeah. I do a sponsor of them right now.
Listen, what's the rest of the day look like for you now?
Drinking loads of that stuff.
Yeah, simple as that, just pure rest, rehydration. Are the family coming down, are friends of...
My fiancée will come down tomorrow. My daughter's not going to come this time. She's going to be at home, so I can't wait to go and see her Sunday.
Absolutely, mate. Listen, enjoy the day.
Shout out to Laura and Summer. Love you guys.
Good man. Listen,
Mega.
we're looking forward to
Thanks,
seeing the
guys.
fight, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All the best.
Take care, buddy.
Thank you.
Top man, Chris Duncan there, joining us very kindly on the show. He's got one heck of a fight. He's the featured prelim, and you will be able to catch that on TNT Sports tomorrow. So make sure you come and join us nice and early. Should we get another guest in? ready to
Absolutely.
you ready to rock and roll with another guest?
Let's rock
They're
and
coming thick
roll.
and fast on the show today, ladies and gentlemen, so make sure you stick with us. Let's get
How
this guy
are
in.
man?
Right, listen, this fella hasn't fought in the UK since 2016. Look at this big beaming face, he's ready, he's back on British
This
soil.
is the smile
That's
that is
it.
always on his face, you know.
Thank you.
How are you, boss? You well?
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you.
Dangerous Dave, are you feeling dangerous right now?
I'm feeling all right. Yeah, I'll feel better tomorrow.
David, we've just been saying that you've been away, obviously on the road, knocking people out, submitting people all over the world, but we haven't seen you in the UK for a long period of time. How good is it from your point of view to be back in front of the home fans?
Yeah, I'm absolutely buzzing. Honestly, it's like it feels like a dream come true all over again. Do you know what I mean? It's been so long since I fought in front of the London crowd that I can't wait.
I mean, it's an incredible thing as a fighter to then go out to America. You know, you're fighting in places like Las Vegas. It's a dream come true, and sometimes you have to pinch yourself and think, wow, I've done this. I'm fighting in Las Vegas. I'm traveling the world. But being back here, fighting in front of a home crowd with your family, your friends, who are all going to make the trip down here and watch you.
Yeah.
I mean, how excited are you for that you get to share these moments? Because, you know, it's all well and good being on the other side of the world, but then it's FaceTiming, or, you know, afterwards you can go and embrace your wife, you know, you see your children, your friends.
I mean, that's it. I mean, I've got my two sons coming down to watch me.
Mega.
They've never seen me fight
on.
live. Do you know, because it's always been like for years. It's just been
On telly.
Yeah. So I'm excited to get the voice in. You know, I'm sure they'll love it. And I think it's a great profession for like your dad to do. It's like they can go and feel proud of it. You know what I mean? You wouldn't think with the way they speak to me, but
Yeah, let's be honest. You like them going to school going, my dad's harder than your dad. That's what you like. But listen, it's going to be incredible for you because you have been away from the UK for a long time. And funnily, we were chatting downstairs and you were like, do you think I'll get a cheer? And I'm like, mate, are you mental? The UK fans have been hungry to see you come back. Every time we see you fight, you're icing someone. You're supposed to be a submission guy. And you're putting people to sleep left, right and centre. What have we got Saturday night? We're going to get another finish?
yeah, that's what I'm going for, definitely. And he's there for it, you know. Like he comes to stand up. He's a game fighter. And I think we'll just meet in the middle and have it out, you know. So yeah, it's going to be a top one for the fans.
You've been in there with some of the biggest names in the division. Last time out against Rafael Asuncao, who has been around forever.
Oh, yeah,
this guy
legend.
is kind of a newcomer.
Yeah.
What do you know about him?
I mean, I've watched his last few fights. He just likes to keep it stood, you know. He's got half decent takedown defence, and his game. You know, that's what I want. I want those type fights, especially in front of a London crowd.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like some of the guys who I've fought over the last couple of fights and stuff, like they're a little bit more going to the shell, you know, and it's like it's a bit harder to get the bigger punches off, you know. When he's coming at me swinging and I'm going forward swinging, it makes for an exciting fight and it opens up for the knockouts. You know what I mean? So that's what I'll be going for.
You're a lunatic, mate, aren't you?
Yeah.
He loves it. He loves it. And we love him. And then we can't wait to
Thank
obviously
you.
see you in this feature prelim, mate. Listen,
Thanks.
enjoy the day. Enjoy the love that you're going to be getting,
Excellent.
especially when you make that walk
Cheers.
for the first time since 2016, I think it is.
2016 when
Enjoy, David. Enjoy,
Nice one,
man.
thanks,
And
man.
congratulations on
Appreciate it,
everything.
mate. Cheers, man.
Top man,
Star.
David. Top man.
Thank you.
Looking forward to it,
Cheers,
pal.
guys. Thank you.
There you go. Dangerous David Grant taking on Daniel Marcos. That's our featured prelim. You'll be able to catch that on TNT Sports Discovery Plus. It's going to be an absolute firecracker. He's got such an infectious personality, man. Yeah,
He's like that all the time.
I can't help. I feel my face just beaming because he's been around, so I'm kind of mirroring what he's doing.
He's the man.
Infectious guy indeed.
Mate, find a job you love, never work another day in your life. That's Davy Grant. He just loves punching people in the
That's a nice
face.
quote.
Can I have that one?
He didn't make that up.
I know he didn't, but
I mean, we know he's a writer, but he just uses ChatGPT. It's all artificial intelligence.
listen, just a little. If you've only just joined the show, we can tell you that the majority have come through. I'm just looking at the list here. We're still waiting for. It's always heavyweights.
Yeah.
Why are they making us wait? Right, we're still
Who
waiting.
are we waiting for?
Tom and Marcin, both of them.
Obviously.
Of course.
They've not come through. Waiting for Johnny Parsons and Mark Jacasey. Josh Kulabauer's not come through yet. Muradov and Barbara Reina, the fighters that we are still waiting for. So we're waiting for what? 5, 6, 7, 8 fighters still to come through. But the majority have come through and nobody's missed weight as of yet. And we've got someone special to bring to you now because for the first time on TNT Sports and Discovery Plus is a lady making her UFC debut. How the devil are you?
I'm great, how are you?
Very well indeed. Are we just waiting for someone?
Someone's about to make a
Someone's
walk
about to hit
right
the
now.
scales in a second.
Hold on, who is it? I think it's Big Tom.
Of our main
Yes.
events.
Let's take this.
Sorry,
away,
Shauna.
Yes.
Butter?
The main event's walking out.
Me?
Here he is.
Let's get Tom Aspinall on the scales and then we can get into a conversation with Shauna. Here he is. He said that he was going to make his weight. To be fair, he did actually say, I'm going to turn up around about 5:30 because I've got a massage at 10.
Right, hey, fair play. The man's got his schedule.
Somebody's not struggling.
He's in the best shape of his life. He's probably the heaviest. Let's wait and see. Yeah, so 258. I mean, he's put about 15.
58 pounds for Tom.
It's about 15 pounds
Aspinall.
heavier
Unit.
than what he was last time, but it's good weight. Anyway,
Right.
talking of weight, we've been making you
He
weight.
weighed in on the official scales with runners on.
What's that?
With his
Runners
trainers
on
on.
and
yeah,
a
yeah.
watch.
Heavyweights, mate. Do what they want, can't
Exactly.
I'm moving to
Did,
heavyweight.
were you having to strip off and get, go down to the towel?
Spitting it on him. It wasn't that bad. But
Are you enjoying the process though this week?
Yeah,
How's it
great.
been for you?
Everything's just been so smooth. Everything's gone perfect, and I'm having fun. It's great.
they? How was... Obviously, we've seen you working alongside Molly in the preparation of this. Talk to me about that camp and working alongside someone like her who's been obviously doing this for a period of time now.
Yeah, I've been training with Molly over a year now, so we're used to the spars together, and we get good competitive spars in, and then afterwards it's like we're giving each other feedback, and it's all positive. Do you know what I mean? And she's really good to be around because she's such a positive mindset.
I asked Molly, I said, have you got any last minute advice for Shauna? And Molly was like, have you seen what Shauna's won in her life?
Yeah.
She doesn't need any advice from me. She's absolutely fine. But I thought you'd be a little bit more nervous at your debut, everything else. But you feel like a veteran, yeah.
I was born for this.
Literally.
Yeah.
What age did you start martial arts?
3.
But
I was doing it at home
Right.
before that.
And when did you have your first competition?
Like 4.
4. So, and how old are you now? I know you should never
29.
ask a lady. So 25 years of competitive martial arts, and this is what people don't understand. When you get used to that one-on-one environment, it's so beneficial. It's so beneficial. So for you, this is just another day in the office, is it?
Exactly,
A
yeah.
rather large office
Yeah.
with a large crowd, a lot of spectators, but I guess nothing changes.
No, that's what I want. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter if there's 10 people there or 10,000. I'm still game to go.
Right, come on.
Humble as well. So humble. I mean, it's crazy.
Here's the big questions, right? Have we sorted the walkout music?
Yeah.
We know what we're doing.
Queen, don't stop me now.
Now we're talking.
that's good.
Now
I like
we're
it.
talking.
yes.
Now
I
we're
love
rocking
it.
and rolling. Margie Casey's just about to hit the scales in the background. Go on, Nick, sorry.
What's I asked, funnily enough, I had a similar question to Chris Duncan, but Irish MMA right now, where every time I open social media, UFC is signing another Irish fighter. Carl Loughlin signed just last night, the Cage Warriors champion. We're getting a UFC Dublin soon, aren't we?
Yeah,
do you know something we don't know? Because they're going to announce something.
I'm just manifesting it. I'm saying UFC Dublin is happening next year. I'm here for it.
We need to go back. Nothing quite like that Dublin crowd, is there? Insane.
Listen, what does the next 24 hours look like for you?
Refuel.
Yeah.
I'll be bantamweight tomorrow, and then put my foot in Brownell's mush and get an extra 50 grand.
There you go. That's what's going to
Bingo.
happen.
There's the quote of the day.
I'm going to put my foot on a mush. Beautiful. Listen, Shauna, enjoy the next 24 hours. We can't wait to see you walk tomorrow and do your thing. We've heard phenomenal things about you. Looking forward to see it all in practice.
Thanks so
tomorrow
much.
night.
Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Top stuff.
Best good luck.
Shauna Bannon making a UFC debut tomorrow on TNT Sports. See you later.
Come on,
mate.
Adam.
Sorry,
Don't leave the woman hanging.
I'm doing a TV show.
Well, get it together.
Anyway, here we go.
Speaking of debutants, there's another one.
Speaking of likeable guys, here's another one. He's a lovely fella, this guy.
Here's Mick Parkin. While Shauna was just chatting to us a moment or two ago, Mark Casey hit 156. We've seen Tom Aspinall come through, but here's his teammate Mick Parkin.
Yeah, as you said, teammate, Phil DeFries, who's a champion, other organisations. And he's training with Tom Aspinall. You know what I mean? Talk about a guy that's leading the charge right now. He's the main events, more experience. He's a lifelong martial artist. For him to be associated with him, and it's also showing him and teaching him what to expect this week. Because when it's your first time, it's all a shock. You don't really know the process. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what support you're going to get from the UFC. But Tom's been walking him through, so there's been no surprises. So he's very lucky to be in that position where Tom, who's the main man, is walking him through it all.
Yeah, and listen, Mick's only had 6 professional fights, and in any other weight class you'd be like, oh, he's a novice, it's a bit quick to go into the UFC. But as we know, the heavyweight division, the talent pool, because naturally human beings aren't naturally that size, so you get opportunities come a bit sooner. But in his 6 fights, he's had 5 knockouts. He had a submission last time out as well, just to let people know he's got a ground game too. I'm super excited to see Mick Parkin.
Yeah, that was on the Contender, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But if you're, as you say, if you're rolling with Tom and Phil DeFries every day, then transitioning to the UFC is walking apart.
And he was telling me yesterday he's had a hard time finding matchups as well because, obviously he's had so much success. As you said, there's not as many heavyweights, but, on the Contender, that was a wild fight. His opponent came at him swinging like an absolute maniac. He weathered the storm, he got him down, he choked him out, finished it in round 1, and looking to do the same tomorrow.
Yep, fingers crossed. We get a show tomorrow night on TNT Sports. Now, obviously we're here for London and the weigh-ins, but there's other talking points that are going on in the world of mixed martial arts at the moment. Lots of people going back and forth. We have seen this week there has been a bit of an announcement for UFC 294 and the main event. Lightweights are going to be on deck, where Islam Makhachev is taking on Charles Oliveira. They are running it back, and I cannot wait, Mike.
I think it's a fantastic matchup. I really do. Yes, we've seen it before, and Islam, being as fantastic as he is, made short work of Charles Oliveira. Shocked the world because Charles was on such a phenomenal run. I think it was 12 wins, 11 finishes. I mean, the records the man has is phenomenal. Islam took him down, choked him out. That was that. But every fight's different. Charles Oliveira went out last time and beat Beneil Dariush. He was emerging as the next contender, but he didn't just beat him.
Beat him up.
He destroyed him.
He
walked through him. He paid him no respect, and he fought like a man that was angry. I fought like a man that wanted to show the world, listen, I'm still the champ. I had a bad night. I want to get my shot again. And here he is. He's got it. And if anyone thinks that Islam's going to do the exact same thing, I think they might be in for a surprise. Might happen. You never know. Islam might be that good. And I'm not criticising Islam, but I'm saying I think Charles Oliveira...
You'll get a different version.
We'll have a different version of Charles this time.
Yeah, he's very experienced, Charles, of course. You know, we all bought in on this incredible journey. He went from a middle-of-the-road lightweight to suddenly the best lightweight in the world. But Islam was phenomenal in the first fight. We've got to pay credit to the champion, you know. And I think it's an opportunity here because Dustin and Justin are going at it for the BMF belt, so that takes away one of the other marquee names in the division that probably would have got the call up against Islam. Now the winner of that fight will probably face the winner of this fight, you would have thought, but then you've got Volkanovski kind of floating around it. It was like the perfect storm to go, you know what, let's run it back with Charles Oliveira then, because Beneil should have been the guy. And Beneil was soundly finished.
Beneil was the guy, but Charles Oliveira flatlined him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Walked right through him, and that's the way Charles fights every single time. We were talking about it yesterday.
Yeah.
He doesn't put together a game plan. He's not overly strategic. He just believes in his all-round skills. He walks forward, and that's why I love watching him fight. But Islam is the champion for a reason. The fight he had with Alexander Volkanovski back in February was phenomenal. Got the job done there. You know, he beat the pound-for-pound number one. Granted, Alex was coming up a weight class, so got to respect Islam Makhachev. Going down in Abu Dhabi as well, you know, it's not his backyard, but you know,
he's got a big fan base there.
Playground of the Dagestan.
Playground of the Dagestan. Very well put.
Yeah. Listen, we're going to revisit 294 in a minute because there's a co-main event to get extremely excited about too. But I can spot over your shoulder, mate, an absolutely gigantic human being.
You can't miss him, can you?
So let's bring him to the
morning,
show.
all.
Good morning.
How are we doing, Tom?
I'm all right, thanks.
Thank you for sticking to time as well. You were teasing us last night that you were going to leave it till 11
Bright and
o'clock.
early.
Yeah, well done, mate.
You know what, mate? The rule is when you're the main event,
Yeah.
you can weigh in any time, even if there's a line or a queue. And I feel bad coming early.
If just swanning to the front.
If everyone's queuing up and they're just dehydrating and stuff, I feel bad just jumping the queue. So
You've changed.
what do you mean? That's very
You've
nice.
changed.
That's polite.
That's really nice.
Oh, did you not?
No, I give it till 9:30. That's half.
Push in? No, did you just swan up to the front?
No, there was no one there.
Oh, fair enough.
No, none of that.
How have you? Is enjoyed the right word? How have you taken this week? Because there's a lot of commitments when you're the main guy and the headline. Has it been okay, or has it been a bit overwhelming?
No, I've really enjoyed it, mate. I've tried to enjoy everything as much as I can because I had to remind myself a little bit earlier in the week, like this stress is brought on by me. Like I want this stress. I want this attention. I want everything, and too blessed to be stressed.
Too blessed to be stressed. I mean, that's a teacher in waiting. That's pretty good. How much, and I know we've spoken about it this week, but these people at home haven't heard this, you know, because your career almost was taken away. How much of that, and now you've got it back, you're in full swing, you're back in the main event, how much is that, I don't know, just makes you grateful and appreciative?
Massively, and that's what I have been thinking about this week. Like, I want to be here. I've been longing to be here for the last year, and I'm just taking it all in, mate. It's Friday today. Obviously, I'm looking forward to tomorrow, but since I got here on Tuesday, I've just been trying to enjoy the days. I've not been trying to be like, oh, I can't wait for Saturday to get here and get all this stuff done. No, mate, I'm trying to enjoy every little step of it.
But what about the media side of things? Being the main event, there is a tremendous load on you to promote this fight, to publicise it. Have you done that with a smile on your face as well?
I think so.
Yeah.
Do I not seem happy to you, mate?
Oh, you seem
good.
wonderfully happy.
I'm very happy.
Oh, no, I'm saying because you know, you got to embrace that side of it as well, which you have done. I mean, you're very well spoken, and as I say, Marcin's great, but you're the guy that's kind of the name here, and the English guy as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot more pressure when you're the main event, but it's my third time. I'm quite used to it at this point. I know it's like standard procedure for me. I know exactly what to expect. I'm not surprised by anything, and this is what I wanted. This is my dream, and I'm embracing it.
a lot of the conversations this week, Tom, we've been having them as well, certainly with all the media, is what's next? Will he get John Jones before he retires? Is he going to go this way? Is Cyril Gane on the radar? But for you, is there a moment when because you've been asked the same questions, is there a moment when you need to reset and go, forget about all that, because nothing happens until I get through Marcin Tybura?
Well, I'm not interested in all that yet, to be honest with you. My sole focus is tomorrow night. That's it. I'm not looking past him at all, mate. I've trained for him and took him like I am fighting John Jones. Like, he's the most dangerous threat in the heavyweight division. That's how I've took him. And to me, that's what he is right now. He is that, and I'm taking him deadly seriously. And I've ticked all the boxes that I needed to tick to give myself the best chance to come and win this fight.
Because he's got dreams and aspirations of his own to before he retires to become heavyweight champion of the world. So he's 37 years of age now.
Yep.
A loss here on Saturday night would all but put a pin in that on him. So you know he's coming, and you know he's coming full throttle.
This is the best version of himself that there is. Like you say, this is his last go. It's a massive deal for him. It's a massive deal for me, and you're going to see the best of both of us tomorrow night, definitely.
Well, he's certainly in the best shape of his life. That's because he knows this is the biggest fight of his career. It's a main event, a big opponent, big ramifications. What do you think? What's the biggest threat that he poses to you that you have to be careful of?
Yeah, he's looking quite sexy at the moment, I will admit. Not my level,
but
he's a veteran. He's got loads and loads of experience. He knows how to pace a fight. He does something that's really rare for a heavyweight, is that he doesn't quit when he gets tired or hurt. A lot of heavyweights start to fold, mate, when they get tired. This guy doesn't. This guy can push through it. He's really, really mentally strong, and the guy is a veteran of the game, so he knows how to read fights really well. He's got a high fight IQ, and I can't go in there thinking that I'm going to blow him out the water in a round, because that's where he thrives.
All right, well, let me ask you this then. When you assess his skill set, because, okay, experience, heart, conditioning, they're all great factors, and they're very, very important. But when you assess his skills, like we say ABC, his grappling and his striking and his wrestling, where do you place them?
He's very unorthodox, first of all. That's hard to prepare for. That's hard to deal with. He switches his feet. He's good on the back foot. He makes angles really well. He's got good takedown on top pressure, and he's got real unorthodox, weird kind of striking that he catches people out with. So them kind of styles are not easy to prepare for. We're not talking about a standard flat-footed heavyweight who's going to stand in front of you and throw bombs. This guy's a bit tricky and a bit awkward, so I've got to be ready for anything tomorrow.
We spoke earlier in the week about it being a blessing in disguise, that knee injury last year. A reset of which has given you the opportunity, rather than to fester and dwell and get frustrated, you've been able to obviously work on yourself, but more importantly as well, from your dad's point of view, who's head coach, to build this super gym. You've kind of changed everything in and around yourself over the last 12 months to get you in a better place now to kick forward towards the title.
Yes, mate, everything is good. I've got so many heavyweights around me now, which is really what I needed. You know, I was at Team Carbon for a long time. Great gym, amazing gym. They taught me so much over the years. But I need big guys to be around all the time, every day.
And you are around big guys. You're walking around mob-handed. Do you know what I mean? Looking like quite the menacing.
No, there's quite I've got a lot of big guys training now, which is what I needed. You know what I mean? I needed that. I've learned so much over the years off so many different coaches, but ultimately I need bodies. That's what I need. I need to be tested on the mat each and every day. And that's what I've got now, and I'm really happy with it.
And do you feel that's made you level up? I mean, because 18 months ago you were sensational, you were doing amazing things now, but now because of the new setup, the new training partners, being pushed every single training session, which is exactly what you need. Can you feel the difference?
100%. Like, I can't go in and be like, I'm just going to have a light day today, I'm going to work. If I'm not going to be on my A game in training, I'm going to get squished. I'm going to get crushed off these massive guys. I need to be A game every single day. If I'm tired, if I'm in a bad mood, if I'm hungry, if I don't feel like training, I've got to be on my A game, or I'm going to get beat up. And I don't really like getting beat up. I want to not get beat up in training, so I need to be on my A game, and that pushes me to a new level.
I want to meet the guy who squishes Tom Aspinall. I want to meet that guy.
Well, have you not seen him? There's a few of them out there, mate.
Yeah. They've been threatening
like an eclipse. Every time they walk past, there's an eclipse.
I know, big dudes.
Ceremonials later on, mate. What have you got lined up for us? Obviously, it's going to be the arms nice and wide, receiving the crowd and all that type of carry on. Yeah. Just embracing it, yeah?
Mate, I absolutely can't wait. Do you know what? It's probably my second favourite bit of fight week. Yeah. Because you get to feel that energy. Do you know what I mean? You get to drink it in. You go in there and you're like, oh, it feels like you're fighting, just getting on the scale. So that'll give me a little warm up for tomorrow evening.
Let me ask you this, I'm not trying to bring the mood down. In March, you weren't here. You've been the main event, the last few fights in a row here in London. Because of the leg injury, how hard was that for you Did you watch it from home or were you in the crowd? Of course.
I was actually working with you, Mike. What are you talking about?
I go to a lot of events, okay, and it becomes a bit of a blur, a bit of a whirlwind. You know what I mean? It's not once a year. But so not being in the octagon. I mean, was that tough?
It was tough, but I feel like it was nice to get back in the building, before I fight here again. Feel the atmosphere, get backstage where I was lay there with the doctors and see the rooms. This might sound a little bit weird, but see the rooms where I was in pain and with the disappointment, see it all again. So it's not like when I'm fighting again, the first time's going to be seeing them rooms again and seeing them corridors and all that kind of stuff. So it was nice to get a little taste of that. And feel the crowd, feel the energy in that hall too, because it is unbelievable in there.
Top man. Listen, we'll let you get on with your day, mate. Enjoy it, and we're looking forward to not only seeing you on the scales this afternoon, but doing your thing again tomorrow night.
Thank you very much. Cheers, man. Have a good day.
Top man, there you go. Main event, Tom Aspinall taking on Marcin Tybura. That is your cherry on top of the cake for this UFC London show. Here comes Mahmoud Muradov, about to weigh in. He's in good spirits, isn't he, Tom?
He's
ready, man.
But he's confident. I mean, and rightly so. I mean, look, listen, what happened against Curtis Blades was very shocking, upsetting, saddening. It derailed him.
186 pounds for Mahmoud Muradov.
But people, there's an expression, everything happens for a reason. And if you look at that and you try and put a positive spin on it, there's many ways to spin this in a positive. He's got a better team. He's in better condition. Exactly. He's learned, how lucky he was to be in this position in the first place. And he's mentally so much stronger, I feel like, and of course with the new teammates, I don't know, I think it has worked out for the best.
It does feel weird to look back on that moment, and listen, you stepped past him, Mike, when he was writhing in agony on the floor on the canvas just a year ago, almost a year to the day. To think that a year forward would be so much better for him psychologically, so much better for him physically, but it did allow him, listen, he's come clean now, so listen, that knee injury has been niggling me for years, and at some point I had to get it dealt with. Unfortunately, he had to deal with it in the worst possible way because it busted in front of a live audience, but it's allowed him to go away, reevaluate everything about his camp, and as he's just explained then, now he's built a team around him to genuinely become the UFC heavyweight champion.
Watch this segue now, because we're going to bring in one of those team members, you see. See what he did there? He was talking about the team that they were building, these big heavyweights. Let's bring him in.
Rodeo, this man.
There you go. Making his UFC debut. Dead excited to see this man. Mick
How are you, mate?
I'm good, you?
Very well,
good, very good.
We've just been speaking about the team. And these huge human beings that are beating the living daylights out of each other on a day-by-day basis, built by Andy Aspinall. Give us your own personal experiences of working in that gym with these guys.
Oh, it's been amazing. Like, I'm not used to being the smallest in the room, but I feel like me and Tom are probably the two smallest there. Like, the heaviest is Big Ben. He's like 160 kilo.
Wow.
But moves good.
160 kilo.
Yeah.
Is that the big fella with the beard that I've seen this week? He's been abusing me every time I walk past him.
Yeah, that's Ben. So the heaviest is like 160 kilo, and there's a big Lithuanian guy who's like 6'9", 125 kilo. So it's huge. I think me and Tom are the smallest, under 120.
And obviously he's the main event. Obviously you got your own fight, but how's Tom looking?
Oh, he looks amazing. Like, I couldn't believe it when he's told us he's been fighting with one knee basically, all his career, and then he's come back and got two knees, and he's just like different beast really.
Sorry, mate.
No, go ahead.
And from your point of view, big show now. Here we go, mate. Ready to rock and roll.
Oh, it's been amazing. I think it's absolutely perfect that I'm on Tom's undercard, so I get a little bit more of the limelight. And get a fight, and I've got a full team here, and Tom's just been showing us the ropes. He's knows how the ins and outs of the UFC now, so I feel like I haven't missed a trick now. Yeah,
so we were talking about that before, because you're here with Tom, part of the team, the coaches, everything. I mean, how much has that put you at ease this week? Instead of finding things out, figuring it out, kind of like a bit of shock and awe along the way. You're walking through it all with Tom, and it's like, I don't know, I'm assuming it makes the whole process a lot easier.
Oh, much easier. Like I mentioned before, Tom, when he first got the UFC, he didn't realise about the meals, the supplements they would give you, the physio, but straight away it was book the physio mate straight away. Get your meals every day, where I thought that would only be for the main event fighters, but it's for all of them. So a few little tricks I probably would have missed and learnt on the job sort of thing, he's showed us straight away.
I guess if you're rolling day by day with the likes of Tom, with the likes of Big Ben, with Phil de Vries, that's got to give you an inner confidence to go, well, I'll tell you what, anything I face, even in the UFC octagon, it's probably not going to compare with the level I'm training at day by day. That's got to give you inner confidence, mate.
I feel like grappling with Ben and Phil, if them can't keep us them, no one's going to keep us them. No one's going to be bigger than Big Ben at 160 kilo. No one's going to have the grappling experience of Phil on top. with him being like undefeated for like so long, and then the striking with Tom and the speed, like a bit different to the technique. I start doing really good with these guys, and like I'm always learning. Like if I feel like I've been stuck in a position with them, I can go back to my coach Andrew Fisher, and I'll say, oh, Tom got us stuck with this, and then he'll say, oh, we'll try this next time, and I can go there, and then I'm learning techniques back home and to try with Tom and Ben, and it'll work or it'll not work. I'll go back, and then so I can actually see my progression there, where when I'm just stuck me and Phil rolling, he knows my game, so sometimes I'm just stuck under him for ages, being like, oh, so at least I can try new techniques and they don't know what's coming.
So it sounds like the training camp's been phenomenal. You've got a lot of resources, people walking you through it, tremendous coaches. It's fight night tomorrow night. You're going up against Jamal Polks. Talk to me about this guy, the challenge that he presents, and ultimately, how do you beat him?
Yeah, so I saw Jamal, and I think he's a good matchup for me first one. I knew it would be somebody like of the Contender Series, maybe 1 or 2 fights in the UFC. He's a big guy, so that I'll pose the threat of the knockout. He's a bit more athletic as well. I think he's fast, but I do see him fading later on in the rounds. I think I've got good cardio for a big guy, so I think it's a really good matchup for us.
Nice.
And most importantly, now, right, obviously, when Song 2 and Blur used to ring out in the O2, the crowd used to go wow when this man walked out. What have you got planned for us, mate?
It
What's
went
the
wild when you walked in last time. I was at the first one at the Volkov and Tom one. It went crazy when you walked in.
So what tune are you going for? You've got to get the party started. So what we're going for on that walkout, man?
AC/DC Thunderstruck.
There we
Touch
go.
that. Right
what
up.
a
Now
show.
we are talking. Absolutely superb. Mate, listen, enjoy the rest of today. Enjoy the ceremonials later on. Can't wait to see you fight, mate.
Enjoy, soak up all these moments, mate. Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Good
Cheers.
luck.
Top man. There you go. Mick Parkin. Beautiful stuff. Taking on Jamal Polks. You'll be able to catch that on TNT Sports tomorrow evening. Look at that. We're just speaking to guys with massive beaming smiles all day, aren't we? David Grant set the tail, and he's smiling away as well, looking forward to it.
After you've weighed in, you're just happy. Because
That's what it is, yeah.
it's such a stress that looms over you the entire training camp, because you're watching your weight and you're making the sacrifices, you're following the diet. And listen, the fight isn't the scale. The fight is your opponent, but it is a hurdle. It's the door to the fight. You know what I mean? Because if you mess up the weight, you miss weight, it's going to cost you money. You never know what the ramifications will be. So yeah, they all should be very, very happy.
Just looking at my list here, if you've just joined the show, we are obviously at weighing day for UFC London. We're still waiting for Marcin Tybura, Johnny Parsons and Brian Barberena. They're the 3 fighters that we are looking for, and hopefully they won't be too late. But whilst obviously we're waiting for those particular fighters, we can speak to people that have already hit the scales. And I can see the red mohawk ready to rock and roll. Bring him in. Come on, let's get stuck in, shall we? Because Mark Jacasey, back on British soil once again.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Great to see you, mate. How has the last 48 hours been getting back down to 155?
Obviously, I've been keeping up to date with my weight, so it's not been too hard. But obviously, the last day of cutting it, it's a bit difficult. But I'm at it now. We're good to go.
Just pause for 1 second, my friend, because we got Marcin Tybura, which is just about to hit the scales. We'll obviously pick this up with Mark in a second, but we just want to make sure that everything's all right with Marcin. I anticipate that it will be.
Yeah, this will be interesting because he said that he's coming in lightest, Tom's coming in the heaviest.
Let's see where he's at.
The lightest he's ever been, I mean.
246
That's 11 pounds lighter than Thomas.
So yeah, something like that.
12. 258 was Tom, wasn't it? So, back to you, mate.
Mark, what have you been doing? Where have you been training? How's the preparation for this camp been?
Well, as you said, I've been with Brad Pitt here, and obviously I've been in Vegas for the last 5 weeks.
Yep.
Getting some work
Which
done.
gym in Vegas?
Extreme Couture.
Extreme Couture.
Yeah. Obviously, my coach told me to go over there because he's got contacts there. So I was there for 5 weeks and came back here to finish off my camp.
Nice.
Yeah.
We were speaking a little earlier on in the week of how many UFC fights you've had, my friend. We remember obviously that early morning fight when you were fighting Henderson. He was on the undercard on that.
That was my debut.
Yeah,
that was your debut.
Yeah.
This is
crazy.
This is
Time flies.
This is number 14 in the UFC.
14 fights, yeah.
That's some run.
It's crazy. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, I've had a lot of experience. I came in young, had a lot of ups and downs. But now I feel very comfortable. I feel I know where I'm at. I've had experience behind me, so yeah, I'm happy being here and more comfortable than ever.
And you can see a real evolution from when you started, because you were always known as a very explosive, dynamic striker, and you still are.
Yeah.
But you've also rounded out the skill set. I mean, you've got tremendous grappling now. I mean, you're picking people up, you're slamming them down. Joel Alvarez is a guy that can get it done everywhere as well, though. So how do you think this is going to play out?
Well, I truly don't believe he's a great grappler, but we're not there to grapple. I believe my game is way ahead. Like, so I've got experience now. I feel if I took him down, I'm the more physical, stronger. I'm the better grappler. I feel like I can control him better on the ground. And when it comes to stand up, he's going to really got answers for me.
Mark, I think you, perhaps more than anybody else, any other British fighter we've seen over the last decade, has really kind of been on a journey in the UFC where, as you say, you've had these extreme highs, you've had the extreme lows, we've seen you evolve, try things, move camps, you've been a little bit of a gypsy, moving around all over the place. And sometimes we spoke to you, like a little bit lost. You didn't know what your style was anymore. Where are you at now? Are we happy now? Are you enjoying MMA?
I'm very happy. If you notice, you watch my team. Every time I've been in my last maybe 3-4 fights, I've had the same corner. Yeah. You've noticed. So it comes with experience. You know, you can travel about, but I know who's there for me, what works and what don't. Not every coach is the right for you. I think I found the right people around me, which I've stuck with. And I feel like it's about making progress. I'm evolving, so it's about just getting these wins together. But I'm comfortable where I'm at with my game.
And Joel Alvarez, up until recently, I think he was undefeated, right?
Yeah.
And he was on a tremendous win streak and winning in sensational fashion. If you can go out here and put on a show, a showcase performance that you're capable of, I mean, some of the wins you've had, some of the techniques that you're capable of using, if you can go out here, showcase in London, I mean, it's going to set you up for some big fights.
Well, he's in London, he's my hometown. Here I'm undefeated. Yeah. And I truly feel like he's at where I was. Like, okay, came on the fields, winning a lot of fights, but he hasn't got the experience that I have. He hasn't got the mentality that I have now as a fighter. I feel like he's replacing where I was.
What do you make of him? What do you make of him as a fighter? You've obviously been.
He's a fighter, but he's a fighter where some fighters I can get worried to say things they do, whereas him I know what's coming.
Here you go. Don't we remind you? Look at these. Look at this.
Oh yeah. I mean, look at that. As I said before, a dynamic striker, just so explosive from start to finish. I mean, Daz Morris. I mean, he always spoke so highly of you. You said a moment ago, you talked about your mentality. He hasn't got my mentality. He's who you were a few years ago.
Yeah.
So what's the biggest thing you've learned, or the biggest mental lesson that you've learned throughout your UFC career?
Yeah. Just, when you're undefeated, you believe everything, you believe you're the best. But once you start getting these losses, your confidence goes down a little bit. And I've seen a lot of other UFC fighters where I've been there, undefeated. I've won some, I've lost some. I'm more comfortable going in these kind of fights than he is. He's lost his last fight. I also lost my last fight, but I know where my mistakes was. I know what I did wrong. I came in with an injury, which I didn't have to, but I fought in an MCL injury. Whereas now, I can go in there knowing I'm fit, I'm ready, I know what I've got to do.
Mate, London crowd's ready, man. They're
ready.
They're ready for Educated Fighting once again. Listen, looking forward to it. Enjoy the next 24 hours of the ceremonials later on.
Appreciate it, bro. Thank you.
And looking forward to see you fight once again,
All
buddy.
the best, Mark.
That's Mark Educated there, taking on Joel Alvarez. That could be an absolute firecracker. The styles will match up quite nicely. And Joel Alvarez, as we said, he's a submission artist, but he's right in what he was saying. On the feet, that's where he should have the majority of his success.
I think so, but Joel Alvarez is very tall, he's very long, and he's skilled as well. So I think they match up very well. I do think Mark is more dynamic, more explosive, probably hits harder. But with Alvarez being taller and longer, that poses some problems as well. Mark's got a tremendous takedown game these days, very, very explosive wrestling. But Alvarez is really slick off his back. So, they kind of counter each other's styles a little bit, but it's going to be interesting to see which way it plays out.
I like the way you just slipped in there as well. Just reminded us that where his head's at. I'm undefeated in London. This is my hometown. I love that. That's in his head more than anything else.
Absolutely. If you are just joining us for the weigh-ins for UFC London, I can say that we're still waiting for Johnny Parsons and Brian Barberina. This all obviously goes down nice and early tomorrow evening on TNT Sports. That's how we get underway with Jafel Filo and Perez making his UFC debut. We'll come back to that in a split second because, as you've just heard, John Gooden is in the background. Just letting us know there's another fighter about to hit the scales. Our penultimate fighter. Everybody's come through good so far. This is nice. This is what we like to see. I'm just looking at the clock.
What time is it?
We've only been here an hour. This is
not bad.
This is great.
Easy money.
There you go. Here's Brian Barberina about to hit the scales for his fight against Mahmoud Muradov, who came through earlier on.
Bam Bam Barberena. I mean, I love watching this guy fight. He just brings it every single time, right? He's just such a fun fighter to watch. He loves a good brawl, never takes a backward step, very well prepared. He's a family man. Oh, his fingernails painted there.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, his daughter picks out the colour every single time. So
I like his attitude this week as well, because obviously we saw him in March and Gunny submitted him, didn't he?
Yes.
And I spoke to him a little earlier on in the week. He said, listen, I had to come back here. I had to come back to the scene of the crime. Very similar to the thing that Tom was saying.
Yeah.
Because I need to get that back. I'm not leaving that arena in that frame of mind. I've got to get back in there and I've got to go and get myself a victory.
Listen, I love that attitude as well. And obviously this is his first fight up at middleweight. He's moving up to middleweight for the very first time. So interesting dynamic there as well. It's crazy, the mind of a fighter, where you're like, I need to go back to the scene of the crime where someone tied me in a knot to put that right. Otherwise, London will be a hoodoo in his mind forevermore. So, listen, he's in a good spot right now because he's kind of walking around the hotel. He's not taking on a British fighter, so there's not a lot of media attention around them. The fighters are enjoying themselves. They're nice and relaxed. That could be a little bit of a barn burner. Honestly, that could be a sleeper on the card.
And coming up to 185, I mean, no wake up, no pressure, being nice and recovered, eating a lot of carbohydrates. I think he's going to do great things. I mean, he's always had tremendous punching power, always had great cardio. That'll only be accentuated coming up to 185. I think more fighters everyone should move up universally a weight class, but that's another conversation for another day.
Yeah, so we're just waiting for Johnny Parsons, who is Danny Roberts' opponent in the welterweight division. We'll keep you abreast of that as and when he hits the scales. As I was saying a moment or two ago, this card is absolutely stacked from top to bottom. Lots of British talent on there. And if we look at those early prelims, which you can come and join us on TNT Sports from 4:45, nice and early. And as you can see there, we've spoken to a couple of these fighters coming through. Shauna Bannon in great spirits, Nick, this week, making her UFC debut.
We spoke to her just a few moments ago, and she's absolutely made for this, quite literally made for this. I expected nerves. We expected her to be a little, but no, she's like a veteran, and she wants to make a bit of a statement.
Yeah.
Well, she's been around Molly, and Molly's, uber confident. Of course, she's been here many times. She's the co-main event. Just with that association, that's going to put her at ease, just like Mick Parkin being around Tom Aspinall. And as we said, the lifelong martial arts journey that she's had, and competing since 4 years old, competing internationally all over the world.
Give me one off the prelims that you're extremely excited to see. Got to go David Grant, haven't we?
Yeah,
British soil 2016.
David Grant every single time. I mean, he brings it. I mean, Daniel Marcos. I mean, we don't know too much about him, but David Grant. I love the way he fights.
It's a shame we didn't get to see him on the scales. Apparently he's gone back to his room to have a lie down. But Danny Roberts, Johnny Parsons, for me, that is the one. Danny's my boy, always brings it. Highlight reel career, sensational.
He needs to get on the scale though.
He's done. He's weighed in. He's just gone to have a lie down.
Oh, is he really?
Just waiting for Johnny Parsons is what we're waiting for.
I thought he said Danny. Anyway, whatever.
Danny Roberts' his opponent. That's who we're waiting for. That's who we're waiting for.
Keep up, Bisping.
Right. Look at this handsome devil. Welcome, Marcin Tybura.
How
are you? Are you well?
Hey guys, I'm great. Better than well.
Yeah. Last minute, the fight's obviously tomorrow. How are we feeling? Have you come face to face with Tom? Have you been doing some weigh-ins? Face-offs and stuff like that? You guys good?
Yeah, everything's good. We just hit on each other in lift, and there was a bunch of his teammates there.
Yeah. He's been walking around mob-handing with a bunch of big dudes. You think he's trying to scare you?
I don't think he tried. Maybe they will support him. I don't feel scared. I respectful for Tom. I'm waiting for what's on Saturday.
I seen you and Tom did a bit of a head-to-head outside the O2, and you were chatting away in Polish.
Yeah.
What got said there? Was it all friendly, all cordial?
He was saying about my weight a little bit. He was noticed that I lost a couple of pounds, but I knew he speaks Polish. He speaks Polish very well, so there was a couple of sentences, but I don't know if he was prepared for this, but he was doing well.
The weight is clearly, you're thinking what? Speed, you need to keep up with Tom, is that why the weight's come down?
I mean, the way it comes down itself, I didn't plan it. It's just happening. Sometimes you cannot fully control your body. I lost a couple of pounds, but I'm cool with that. Maybe there will be some more speed.
Tom's been talking this week, because he's got a new team now that he's with, and he's got a lot of big training partners. I'm sure you know Phil DeFries and some of the other people. And you do need to have good training partners pushing you in the room. What's your situation like? Have you got a lot of big guys that are, pushing you around?
I do have a big base of heavyweights in our gym, like Michał Andryszak, like young guys who are just on building. There's lots of guys coming, like even UFC fighters, like Martin Budaj or Łukasz Brzeski. They also are heavyweights from UFC. So we have a bunch of heavyweights. Like every week I can spar with a couple of new guys.
Yeah. Nice.
And from your own point of view, Marcin, obviously 7 out of the last 8 victories, obviously going in the right direction, big dreams and big aspirations. A victory on Saturday night against Tom would absolutely propel you into that top 5.
Oh, yeah, that's my goal right now. I just as close as it gets to the fights, I just try to focus, much more attention of the task. But like I know what's coming after a little bit, and that motivates me just.
Currently, you're on tremendous form. You've won 7 out of your last 8, and some really good opponents as well. John Jones is fighting Stipe Miocic. Do you look at this fight with Tom as kind of like the key to the door to getting into those conversations and title fights in the near future?
I will be doing everything to get in this conversation. I just cannot be sure that will that brings me the title shot, but I will be doing everything. I just try to put on a best performance, try to of course the winning, but also the winning in a good fashion. That brings me closer to the title.
You're a veteran of the game, Marcin. You've seen all this kind of stuff before. You've been the away fighter before. There's nothing there to intimidate you. But you are 37 now. Are you concerned that you're starting to run out of time in your title push?
Well, it seems like the.
Why is he going to ask?
Listen,
calling the man old right to his face. I mean, he's 37. He's in the prime of his life. He's got a grey hair on you.
I don't have to answer it. Just my because I feel like I'm in the best shape of my life, and I think you cannot. There is a matureness that you don't have like in a younger age.
Yeah.
And I feel like every year I just can train better. Just just can perform better, and that's it. I don't know. Maybe it ends sometimes and it will start slowing down, but it's not happening now.
Yeah. I mean, all jokes aside, but it's a good point that Nick brings up. I mean, and for me, I was still fighting at 37, and obviously learn about the physical preparation side of things, but this side of things, the brain, the mentality, the maturity, the emotions, do you feel like you've improved in that area so much?
A lot. Like it's you're getting to be a little bit different person every year. I mean about matureness. Yeah. That's the thing. Different approach. You don't know what's the crazy stuff not to do, and what to focus on. And there's lots of stuff that comes with the age, and it's not a bad thing to getting older.
Let me tell you this. We were speaking yesterday, and I found this out. Marcin, you're not going to be surprised to hear that he used to be a doorman, right? But he was a doorman at a nightclub at 14 years old. 14 years old working in security.
Well, that wasn't a rule in Poland at the time. Yeah. Change a little bit.
Just edit that bit out.
We had Tom in earlier, and we asked him about your strengths, and he said some of the things that Marcin's so strong at is you've got a gas tank, you keep going, unlike a lot of heavyweights who fold. He said he thrives when the going gets tough. He also said you're a very unorthodox striker, split stance, everything else, and paid you a lot of compliments. What does Tom do well?
Well, Tom's performance speaks for itself, actually. Yeah, his dominance in every aspect, actually, on the ground, on wrestling, on the striking. He's well-rounded. He's got everything for sure. It's like he finished those. The only thing he finished those guys like very early, and my chance is to stand there to show him not that easy to finish and see how he gonna do it in a deeper goal.
Is that kind of the mentality? Let's see what Tom's like in 3, 4, and 5.
It's something unknown for everyone actually, because we didn't see Tom in those. But I'm not building my confidence about it. If he gets tired in this 3 or 4 round, and just start to doing everything from the beginning perfect. I know I have to be there to make him tired.
So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Are you expecting Tom to come out really fast and hard? I mean, because there has been a year layoff, because he's coming back from an injury and he kind of did miss it. Do you think that's going to cause him to be extra charged up? And as you say, he's a quick finisher anyway. So are you ready for like an early blitz from Tom?
I think so. It's not like I'm not like preparing for someone who stormed me, but it seems like in my fights that I'm okay with this. It's happened to me many times recently, and I come pretty good with this one. So I'm expecting anything. From fighters like Tom, you can expect anything.
And just to finish up, obviously you're fighting on UK soil, so there will be a lot of UK fans in there cheering for Tom. But this is a national sport in your country, my friend. I'm sure there's quite a lot of Polish people that are making the hop, skip and a jump over to the UK. A lot of Polish people in the UK, big MMA fans coming out to see you tomorrow night.
Absolutely. I've been receiving lots of messages from Polish people living in the UK, outside the UK. They are coming for fights, so I will be a smaller fan base for cheering for me. But
they'll be noisy.
And I'm fighting for those guys and try to do everything to make them happy.
Amazing.
Super.
Amazing.
We're looking forward to it. Marcin, thank you so much for your time, sir. Enjoy your day.
Enjoy your day.
Thank you, Mark.
Marcin Tybura in the main event against Tom Aspinall, that heavyweight clash. He's been cool, calm and collected all week, that fella. But like we were just saying there, it's a big night for him. If he can get a win here, he's in the top 5 in the heavyweight division.
First of all, he's a class act.
Yes.
He's an absolute gentleman. He's a monster inside the octagon, but the way he carries himself and conducts himself, you have to be a fan of. You've got to be a fan of his body of work. As I said, won 7 out of his last 8 against very, very good opposition. And to your point, of course, 37 years old, he's never cracked that top 5, never fought for their belt. I think this might be his first ever main event, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So there's a lot of big things happening for him, and a lot of big opportunities are also being presented. But of course, he's got to get through Tom Aspinall. Not an easy task, but I'm expecting Marcin to be the best version of himself, and he's going to bring it at Tom.
He'll raise his game, of course,
because
he will raise his game because he's the main event and he knows what this means. You beat Tom Aspinall, you're one win away from a title shot.
Well, the man that he's facing is Tom Aspinall. He's been out for a year, and this is what he's got to say about being back on British soil.
The streaking Polishman, Marcin Tybura.
My next matchup is against Tybura. A lot of people look past him. But the guy has won 7 of his last 8 in the top 10. Not many heavyweights have that kind of win streak.
It is his faceless pressure. It is his ability to walk through the fire that really gives people problems. He gets to the clinch and he just wears on you.
That's it! Marcin Tybura does it by TKO in round 2. Tybura hammers away to the victory. Marcin Tybura, he keeps getting better.
He doesn't have the flashiest style ever, but I'm taking this guy like I'm fighting John Jones for the heavyweight title. I'm giving it absolutely everything.
Tybura's a well-rounded fighter, so we've been working on good wrestling, escaping the wrestling, and specific boxing shots that we think Tybura's open to.
For me, this is by far the biggest fight in my career. I'm coming off a massive injury. This guy's a very, very serious opponent, and I'm treating him as that. I think my skills are definitely better than his. I think I'm on a different level to him. I think I move a lot quicker than he moves. Technically, I'm much better than him as well.
Good solid basics will win this fight for Tom. He's very fast, he's very elusive.
Well, I think it'll be an early round finisher. I think first, potentially second, but I wouldn't be surprised to see anything off Tom because he can grapple, he can smith people, he can knock them out. He's just an all-rounder.
I think I have everything to prove. I definitely do not want to be that guy who falls on his back after 20 seconds holding his knee, and I'm not that guy. That was a bad night for me, yeah, and that happened, but that doesn't define who I am, and who I am moving forward is someone completely different to what happened a year ago. I've completely rebuilt myself physically and mentally, and I'm ready to show everyone that this is a completely different me now.
Tom Aspinall, 100% finishing rate. A lot of people think we might be looking at a future UFC heavyweight champion.
July 22nd at the O2 Arena is going to be a special night.
He's the complete package. He's a tall, athletic guy. He moves like a middleweight. On the ground, he's got tremendous jiu-jitsu, and he's got knockout power in both of his hands. Tom Aspinall is the real deal.
My confidence is just at a whole new level that it's never been before because I'm working with everything now. I'm going to come on and put on the best performance that I've ever done in my career. The heavyweight landscape now, in my opinion, it's the best it's ever been.
It's out, it's the left hand that gets it done again in the first. Jailton Almeida has done it again, 14 in a row.
We've got John Jones now at the top of the division.
Oh, he can't! John Jones, the greatest of all time, and now
The thing with John Jones is I don't like to talk about him too much because he is an absolute legend and I'm just, at this point, a contender. But he is the champion of my division right now, and if I'm not shooting for that, then I'm wasting my time. That's like a fire burning under me. That is the fight that I want one day, and I'm going to push for that as much as I can. I've got a few fights before then, of course, which I'm extremely focused on, but ultimately that's the fight that I want, is to fight John Jones for the title.
He's done it! Tom Aspinall! Pure mixed martial arts at its best right there. That's impressive, Tom Aspinall.
Now that my training and my body's right, I'm better than the rest of these guys, and I want to just put everyone on notice. I'm the future UFC heavyweight champion. Now there's nothing coming in my way of it.
There you go, Tom Aspinall back on British soil, headlining against Marcin Tybura at UFC London. And as he explained a little bit there, and as he's done to us a month or two ago, a knee injury like that, obviously for a lot of people, is going to affect them, not just from a physical aspect, it's going to affect them mentally as well, being out for a period of time, not being able to do the thing that they love. For him, it feels like a reset, a blessing in disguise that he's been able to actually work on the mental side of his game to prepare himself now for an onslaught at the top of this division.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying, but the reality is it's only been a year, and the reality is now he's coming back better because the knee was always bothering him. It was always hindering him in training camp, and of course that will result in hindering your performances. I mean, that's hard to watch, and I'll never forget, I walked into the octagon, I had to interview Curtis Blades because he rightfully won the fight for whatever reason. It was counted as a victory for Curtis Blades. I'll never forget, just moments before that, Tom's lying on the floor, he's howling in agony, for such a big man, and Tom's such a great guy as well, and to see him led on the floor in so much pain, it was hard to watch, it really was. And I spoke to him quite a lot throughout the process, and he always stayed strong. He had his dark days, his dark moments, but he's back better than ever, and I can't wait to see him because his father obviously is his biggest fan, but he's been telling me, he said, listen, the stuff that he's doing now, I have never seen. He said, you can tell him anything and he'll do it instantly. The speed that he has, the technique that he's displaying is just unbelievable. So from everything that I'm hearing, not only from Andy, his father, but from Tom himself and all of his teammates, I cannot wait to see, because the proof is in the pudding. It's all well and good talking about it, but Tom's always shown up. He's not the type of guy to get stage fright, and this is a big, big fight.
Yeah, and so far, let's remind ourselves it was an injury. That's how he lost that fight. Everything he's done in the UFC so far has been so explosive, so dynamic. He's looked like the new generation heavyweight, and that's what we've kind of labelled him as. Now he's come back saying, well, this is Tom Aspinall 2.0, so what does that guy look like? Because the previous guy looked phenomenal. That's what the most exciting thing for me, because we knew for a long time that Tom Aspinall's got the potential to become a UFC heavyweight champion. All of Britain knows that we've been talking about it. Now I think that replace potential with he's ready to become a UFC heavyweight champion. That's the difference.
Yeah, well, that is the main event, and this will be topping off a sensational main card on TNT Sports, and there it is. Lerone Murphy gets us underway in a hell of a fight against Josh Coulibaly. Two fantastic strikers going at it. Jai Herbert getting a reward for his great performances recently, getting on that main card. Paul Craig down at middleweight, of course, taking on elite grappler Andre Muniz. Nathaniel Wood back in London against Andre Feely, and then that co-main event of Meatball Molly McCann and Julia Stoliarenko. The big narrative there was, can Stoliarenko hit 125? Yes, she can. She did it relatively easy a little earlier on. And then, of course, we've spoken to both guys, Tom Aspinall and Marcin Tybura, who are going to throw down for our entertainment. All on TNT Sports. That main card gets going from 8 o'clock. Apart from the main event, which one?
I mean, look, listen, the opening fight between Lerone Murphy and Josh Coulibaly, I mean, that's going to be sensational. What a way to kick off the main card. And then if just going through the whole thing, Jai Herbert versus Francis Yam, banger of a fight. You've got Paul Craig, Andre Muniz. You're going to have two sensational striking fights. Then we're going to have two highly skilled grapplers. And then we're back to it with Nathaniel Wood and Andre Feely. Yep. Top to bottom, that main card is ridiculous. It's great matchmaking.
Absolutely. Listen, we know where the party comes. The party comes when Molly McCann makes that ring walk, and it will be absolutely bouncing off the walls. And interesting to see before, just popping her head in, having a little look how Stoliarenko looked on the scales. Let's be fit, this is vintage Molly, isn't it? Just blitzkrieg approach. Boop, spinning elbow number one. This was the fight after. Boop, spinning elbow number two. this is what she does. This is what she does in London. She scores knockout of the year contenders. But you know, the fact that she stuck around after she weighed in, just to see how Stoliarenko looked on the scales, I've got to be honest, you know, we thought that would be a theme of today. Stoliarenko, the first fight on the scales. She got on it and she made 125. She made championship weight.
Yeah.
She let everybody know this ain't been a struggle. I've kidded you all because I weighed up 140. You all thought I was going to struggle. Well, I've done championship weight. And
well, we spoke to her yesterday in the fighter meetings, and she was very, very confident about making weight, and not only about making weight, about having this fight. I mean, she wasn't dismissing Molly, far from it. She wasn't being disrespectful, but she certainly believed in her skills, and she believes stylistically she has all the tools to be a problem for Molly. But when we talk about Molly, we see it there a second ago. We see the spinning elbow, but so we talk about the spinning elbow because that was the finishing blow.
Yes.
But the hand speed that she has, the boxing technicality that she has, she's such a great athlete. She's in tremendous shape. The grappling's always getting better. It's always improving. It's always a work in progress. Stoliarenko, though, she says, listen, I've been kickboxing my entire life. I'm the only female fighter in the UFC from Lithuania. She's very, very proud to have that moniker. She feels that her kickboxing against Molly's boxing is going to be a great antidote, and she feels that she's a better grappler. So, I mean, she was confident about making weight, and I wasn't sure about that, and she's ridiculously confident about winning the fight, so we could have a great fight on our hands.
As you were just pointing out there, the spinning elbows take the highlight and the headline, don't they?
That's right.
But it's the performance against Hannah Goldie in particular, because the first fight last year, it was a close fight until the spinning elbow. The Hannah Goldie performance was absolutely bang on. Footwork, range control, hand speed, as you were saying, Mike. That's the type of performance that we need to see on Saturday night from Molly, isn't it?
Yeah, and listen, you've got to realise where Molly is as an athlete. You know, it's not just the strength and conditioning, it's not just the weight cut and everything else that she's got in line. It's the fact that she's bringing in world-class boxing coaches to mix with Paul Rimmer's world-class BJJ Jiu-Jitsu. You know, she's ticking every box now. She's not kind of ambling through her career. She's setting things up, and she's also not, you know, she's not doing what Paddy's doing. She fell into that trap for a bit. Oh, if Paddy's doing that, I'll do that. No, she's built her own little mini team around her own support network around her, and I think it's strong that she's coming away. She's doing her own thing, and Paddy, I know Paddy's out injured at the moment, but you know, for a while there it was like, oh, the dynamic duo, they're crazy, and it's nice that Molly's kind of come away from that and go, no, I can plough my own furlough in this sport. I don't need to do it in the slipstream of Paddy Pimblett.
But also the star power's growing. I mean, she's doing a lot of mainstream media.
That's why she's coming.
That's
why she's the comment.
No, of course. I mean, she's a big name now. She really is, and she's a big character to go with it. So you can see why people like her, why they support her, why they buy into her story, where she's from, what her morals are, what she stands for, and then you put all that together, and then she fights the way that she fights, and then she provides the entertainment that she provides. I mean, even after the fight, even when she's getting the wins, I mean, that's almost as much of a talking point, the way she's jumping over the fence, she's saluting her fans, she's down in the Howler head, she's
chugging
fun.
whiskey.
She's fun.
She is fun, mate. Absolutely can't wait to see her fight. I'll tell you who else I can't wait to see fight, because he's had a rocky road, a weird relationship with UFC London. It is Nathaniel Wood. He lost the fight last March on the day that it was supposed to happen because his opponent didn't pass a medical, so he missed out on that card last year. And then, of course, this year he's had that freak injury where he cracked his knee and he was supposed to fight Laurent. Now, of course, he's got a great fight against Andre Fili. And this, if he performs like he did in the two performances that he gave us last year, one in London, obviously in the summer, and then obviously in Paris, where he was absolutely sensational, stepping up in weight as well. If he can put a performance like that in against Andre Fili, you never know. Come Tuesday morning, it might be 14 and 15 ranked in this division.
Yeah, exactly, because you know, Nathaniel's been around the UFC and the promotion for quite some time now, and I think probably Fili is the biggest name that he's fought, certainly one of the biggest guys, certainly the most experienced guy, certainly a guy that has the ability to really give him problems. But we see here some of the highlights from Nathaniel Wood. He's got no weak areas as an athlete, as a fighter, as a martial artist, and neither does Andre Fili. And Andre's so cool, calm and collected. He's so put together, he's so in control of his emotions, he's got tremendous skill and tremendous experience, and he's really excited to be here. You know, he's so excited for the fact to come out to London, to travel the world, to be a fighter that's going all over the world and meeting new people and having new experiences, experiencing different cultures and foods and all the rest of it. So he's so excited, and the fight will absolutely deliver. But it's not an easy fight for either man.
No, not at all. And from a Fili point of view as well, he's had a frustrating time because he had a couple of fights booked earlier on this year, and then he found out that he needed eye surgery, so he's had that corrected. So he's been on the sidelines chomping at the bit, wanting to get at it. So he'll be wanting to put in a big performance himself against Nathaniel.
Yeah, and this is a massive step up. In my mind now, I've got Mike just saying he wants to travel the world and sample culinary delights, and I've just picture Andre Feely with a big bowl of pie and mash or jelly deals in some local pub somewhere.
Steaky kidney pudding from the chippy.
Exactly,
What's this?
But you're right. Listen, so far so good for Nathaniel Wood. He's kind of like the poster boy about moving up in weight division.
Yeah.
Move up, be stronger, don't cut weight, and just enjoy yourself. But that's all good and well against guys that aren't on the fringe of the rankings and Touchy-Feely has been a ranked guy. Now he's almost, it seems harsh to say, but a gatekeeper to the rankings. It's a step up. And Andre Feely, as Mike said, he's capable everywhere. And for the first time, I think he will get in there. Rosa was a great performance.
Yeah.
Jourdain was a great performance. Touchy-Feely's a big featherweight. Featherweight.
And Feely, I mean, yeah, all right, there's been some mixed results. He's fought some amazing competition. I'm telling you, he's a special fighter.
Yeah.
He's tall, he's long, he can fight at range, he can fight in the pocket, he can grapple. He's got world-class training partners. Yeah. He's got tremendous
submissions
coaches.
For days as well.
Submissions for days, fantastic off his back, and he's a hell of an athlete. You know, he's a protege of Uriah Faber, who's been around this sport forever. One of the best coaches, and in terms of not from the physical side of things, but also the mental side of things and understanding the journey and rebounding from losses and all the rest of it. He's got a tremendous team around him, you know. He's not a man to take lightly.
No, can't wait for that fight. Should be an absolute firecracker. In fact, I'll tell you what we'll do, because we started this conversation about UFC 294 because we've had those announcements this week. We talked about the main event. We didn't speak about the co-main event. So let's get into it, shall we?
Yeah. We forgot about that, didn't we?
We didn't speak about the co-main event because there's been lots of what's he doing? Is he doing 170? Is he doing 185? Well, he's doing 185. It's Hamzat Chimaev, of course. And what a fight that is for Paulo Costa.
It's a brilliant fight, simple as that. I mean, both men are fun to watch. Both men are so capable. Of course, Hamzat is undefeated. Paulo Costa's fought for the belt before. He's still one of the top dogs in the middleweight division, and that's what Hamzat wants. He wants the biggest tests, the biggest fights. You know, he wants the biggest names. And outside of a title fight against Adesanya, Paulo Costa is one of the biggest names that he could fight. And if he beats Paulo Costa, well, then make no mistake, you know that he's going to be calling out Israel Adesanya. And he's never shied away from an opponent in his life. However, it's not going to be easy for Hamzat. Hamzat's coming up to 185. At 170, he had a massive weight advantage and size advantage over all his opponents. Now, he fought Gerald Mearchard at 185, knocked him out in 17 seconds with the first shot that he threw. Yeah. So he has fought here before, but this is definitely a step up in competition. Paulo Costa's got good wrestling, he's got good takedown defense, he's got great jiu-jitsu, and on the feet, the man can absolutely bang, and he's got a chin made out of iron. This is not an easy fight for Hamzat Chimaev, but if he can go out there and make it an easy fight, the rest of the division, watch your back.
Absolutely, and that would be a statement. And Hamzat has delivered statements throughout his career. You know, I know the Gilbert Burns fight, you know, maybe asked a few questions, but also answered a lot of questions. Does he want it? Can he go to the well? Can he grind through a fight when he needs to? When he's back against the wall, when things aren't going right, when the guy is taking your best shots and coming forward, can you push through the red zone? And he did that, and he got his arm raised at that. We know about the grappling prowess. We know about the Andreas Michael boxing prowess that he's got. He ticks every boxes, but this is a legit step up for him. Like, I'd heard a lot of rumours it was going to be Kamaru Usman as his opponent. Quite clearly, they've gone, you know what? We are done at 170. We're going to 185. Give us a proper 185. And boy, they've got one.
As you said, though, you've got to prove in fighting. It's all well and good going out there and dominating people, beating people up, finishing them, making it look easy. That's called being the hammer. But you've got to be able to be the hammer and the nail. You've got to be able to go out there and have a really tough round. You've got to be exhausted. You've got to be gasping for breath, eating punches to the face, and still willing to fight and not fold. Because in a mixed martial arts fight, you get taken down. It's easy to look for the way out. It's easy to curl up in a ball and just cover up and let the guy continue hitting it until the referee steps in. Having the courage and the ability to fight back when you're exhausted, when you're tired, when you want to be anywhere else on earth other than that octagon, right? There's an easy way out, very easy, but he showed he is made of that. He's not just a bully, because he does bully people, and he makes it look easy, and he mocks them, he embarrasses them, he picks them up in the air and has a conversation with Dana White and starts matching his next fight. That's what he's capable of. He's also capable of fighting through the fire, as you mentioned, so that makes it very interesting.
It's a big test. You only find that out in the octagon, don't you, how big the dog is inside you. When you're asked that question, do you really want this? And in that Burns fight, he ticked a lot of boxes.
Yeah, but the going will get even tougher.
Of course.
At 185, because as Mike said, he won't be the big dog in the fight necessarily anymore, and he certainly won't be with Paulo Costa.
Well, the guy that he's facing, we don't know where he's currently at because he's so inactive, Paulo Costa. It's always social media. We don't see him too often in the octagon. This is a huge fight for him because if he can take away the myth of Khamzat Chimaev, surely he propels himself back towards Israel Adesanya.
Yeah, I think this will be a good fight for Paulo Costa to really get invested back in the fight game because he has been a little bit inactive, and when he fought Marvin Vettori, he came in very heavy.
Yeah.
So he's sending mixed signals. I mean, even though he came in heavy and they had to move the fight from 185 to 205, he still went the distance, he still went 5 rounds. Granted, he lost, but it was an incredible fight for both men. You know, he landed a lot of heavy shots and he ate a lot of heavy shots. So he's still clearly doing the work, but as you say, you know, he hasn't been too active. This is a fight though, and this presents opportunity with it being Khamzat and the name that he is, you know, to really put his best foot forward to say, right, okay, we're not playing games here, you know. If I can beat Khamzat, there's a good chance of getting to fight Izzy again, or even Sean Strickland if that fight happens. So, you know, this will bring out the best in Paulo Costa. And when Paulo Costa is at his best, he's a very dangerous man.
Yeah. That's UFC 294. I know we're getting a little bit giddy and ahead of ourselves, but that is going to be something very, very special. Special night with that man and co-main. Now then, let's get back to the London card, shall we? Because we spoke to him a little earlier on. He said, listen, I'm going to be dead honest, it wasn't as easy as we first predicted. The Paul Craig weight cut from light heavy down to middle. But he's got it done. Yeah. And now it's going to be interesting to see what version of him we get tomorrow night. Whether this was a good decision coming down to 185 or he should have stayed where he was.
Yeah, listen, you could slice a birthday cake with those cheekbones at the moment. He looks incredibly drawn in. Listen, we know about Paul's talent. He's one of the best light heavyweights on the planet. He's got a win over the incumbent light heavyweight champion. He's got a couple of statement wins over some of the best guys at light heavyweight, but he's run into 2 defeats. And he does need to reinvent himself, so coming down to middleweight makes sense. But he's been expertly matched here with a guy with a very similar skill set than what he's got himself. Up at light heavyweight, Paul's probably the best submission guy there. Well, you could argue Muniz is the best submission guy at the top of the middleweight tree. So bringing them both together, what tends to happen is we'll see a kickboxing match. I think we kind of expect that something now. But we know what Muniz will bring. We don't know what Paul Craig will bring because we've never seen him in this weight division before, not in the UFC. So there's a lot of questions that will be answered. It's one thing making the weight, doing it and feeling strong. It's another thing getting in there tomorrow and throwing down with some of the best in the world and still being as strong as you were, 10 pounds heavier.
And still being as fit and capable when it gets to round 3, you know, because it's one thing doing it in the gym, in a calm environment where you're used to it, where there's no pressure, where it doesn't matter how you're going to doing it in front of 20,000 people, you know, when there's someone trying to take your head off or trying to choke your head off or break your arm, you know, just little things, you know, you don't breathe normally, you know, your heart rate's going like crazy, you know, and with the harder the weight cut was, and this will be the hardest weight cut he's ever done, and as you said, you could slice something with those cheekbones because they are popping out. How's he going to be in the 3rd round? I think he's going to be fine. I really do. I think he's done it so scientifically and he's been so methodical about it. And it wasn't a crazy amount that he cut, but it is a crazy amount that he's going to put on. He says he's going to be back up to 99 kilos from 84 where he was just a second ago. 15 kilos overnight. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and as well as that, it's good to speak to him this week when he's talking about skill set because we know what he does, but sometimes it can be a little bit obvious what he wants to do when he's in the octagon. From a striking point of view, it's not necessarily about going out there and trying to knock somebody out and falling in love with your hands. It's about using that striking to be able to set up what he wants to do. And he says that he's been working on that. So again, from a skill set point of view, looking forward to seeing that tomorrow night.
Yeah, listen, he's evolving. He's evolving as a martial artist. And don't forget, this is a Paul Craig that was like, when I hit 34, I'm gone. And he's changed that now. Yeah. He's past 34 and he's still going. And in fact, he's just extended his UFC contract because he must feel in the gym, you know what, I haven't hit my peak yet. So even though he put this timeline on himself, he's like, well, I can't walk away now because I'm at the peak of my powers or I'm getting better. And that's what we need to see from him because, yes, he does like pulling guard. And unfortunately, when you get someone that's a good counter to that, like an Uzumi who kept him on the ground, it looks bad on TV. It looks bad in the eyes of the judges.
He's aware of that, though. As he was saying to us 2 minutes ago.
You can't afford to do that. I don't think he will need to do that with Muniz, but you don't pull guard against Muniz because I think Muniz will go into your guard happily.
You don't pull guard. Simple as that. You don't pull guard in modern mixed martial arts, and Paul does that because he's very good at it, and he's managed to get away with that. And you can do that against a lot of people, but sometimes you can't, right? Because if someone pulls guard, for those people that don't know, it essentially means lying on your back and trying to drag them into your guard to engage them in a jiu-jitsu style fight. Their head is right there. Their target is presented, and we saw the first UFC event in the UK, Ian the Machine Freeman, one of the godfathers of British MMA, when he fought Frank Mir. Frank Mir was the future of the heavyweight division with tremendous jiu-jitsu. What did he do? He went to his back and pulled guard and was going for leg locks. Ian Freeman smashed his face in quite literally and got the win. You know, and so everyone's known you don't do that. However, you can do that if you're lucky, if you're skilled enough, but it's still always a dangerous game. So I wouldn't like to see that. I wouldn't like to see him doing that. I'd like to see him trying to get top position, going for top position, going for submissions, ground and pound, and on the feet. Paul's the taller guy.
Exactly.
He's the
Use
longer guy. Use your reach, use your kicks, use your jabs, your straight shots. You know, keep Muniz at bay like that.
Can't wait for it. Can't wait. Just listening to you boys speaking about these fights, getting me extremely excited. And one guy that has kind of gone a little bit under the radar this week is Jai Herbert. Obviously, we're speaking about all these other fighters and what have you, but when you're around Jai, there's a calmness about him, there's a peacefulness about him. But the guy that's going to be in his corner is the current welterweight world champion in Leon Edwards. Iron sharpens iron, that's what he's working with. And when you actually look at the performances that Jai's put in the UFC, he's in actually really good nick, even though the record will say 2-1-1 at the moment.
Yeah. Listen, the Ludovic Klein fight, he looked great. You know, he looked like he was winning that fight. He was 2 rounds up. And then, you know, he gets warned for a couple of groin strikes and the judge takes a point off. That was the headshot there against Ilia Topuria. Obviously, he lost that fight. This was the knockout against Karma Worthy. But what you've just said there, Jai said exactly the same thing to me as well. He feels confident. He feels like Faiz Ziam is a good matchup for him. Another big, tall, long striker.
It's like looking in the mirror a little bit.
Yeah, it really is. And I think they match up really well. And I think where Jai's mind is at, with it being in London as well. Because I said, Faiz lit Paris up. And he went, yeah, but he ain't in Paris no more. He's in London. And I'm going to light London up. And I was like, yeah, fair dues, man.
He's the black country banger.
There you go.
He's the Parisian perfecto. Listen, I love watching Jai Herbert fight. I love his skill set. I love everything about him. You can see the influence from Leon Edwards and certainly from the coaches as well. Comes from a great team, and every time he fights, he shows world-class potential. There's been some slips along the way, even against Topuria. It was a devastating knockout, okay? But he almost had Topuria, who is undefeated, who's probably going to fight Volkanovski next for the belt. He was right there. He almost finished Topuria. That shows how good that this man is, you know? So I, every time he fights, every time I see his name on the fight card, I get excited because I know what he's capable of.
Yeah, and he always brings it. It's him or you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well,
kill
listen.
Or be killed.
Yeah,
exactly.
And that's what the fans want. With all due respect, that's what the fans are paying the money for. That's what they want to come and see.
And he's always entertaining. And in a similar vein to Tom building this super gym, he's at the epicenter of a super gym in the Midlands at Renegade with Leon Edwards. And he said, every time I go in the gym, he said, there's monsters on the mat every day. There's no getting ready. You just to train there every day. You basically are always ready. He said, and the difference now is you've got killers everywhere on the mat. We're training all day. He said, but the difference is when you look up at the clock, right next to the clock is Leon's belt. And that's the inspiration that you need to go, I want to push through because I want one of them as well.
Yeah. Kicking off the main card on TNT Sports is Lerone Murphy and Josh Culibao. Now, of course, British fight fans, we were all thirsty for Lerone Murphy to get that rebooked with Nathaniel Wood. It wasn't to be, but I tell you what, this is a fight, is something that people should be extremely excited about because Culibao is very, very talented striker. Lerone Murphy, maybe not in March, but previous to that, has shown how good he is as a striker. These two stylistically match up extremely well.
No, it's I said it before, it's a tremendous way to start the main card. Culibao he's a sensational boxer. He's got great grappling, he's got good takedowns, he's got good submissions. He's very well versed in all areas with a great coach. But look at this, look at Lerone Murphy, what he is capable of. I mean, he timed that knee to absolute perfection. So, I mean, it's going to be a tough one for both men, and I think they both realise that. I spoke to Josh yesterday. He's got tremendous respect for Lerone Murphy, and he knows the test that he has ahead of him, and so does Lerone. You know, there's no animosity between the pair of them. They're both here, they're professionals, they're here to do a job, they're here to get the win, but I think they both know that, you know, to get the win, they're going to leave a piece of themselves in the octagon, potentially.
These are two guys in a very similar position, similar age, very similar skill set, both from the opposite sides of the globe, one from Australia, one from Manchester, of course. And okay, Koulibaly's got a loss on his record, but Lerone hasn't. But that loss is when he stepped in at a week's notice and took on Jalen Turner, who's one of the best lightweights in the planet, and he's not even a lightweight. He took that fight, he took the loss and said to the UFC, okay, thanks to me now, get me back down to featherweight. He's gone back down, he's gone on a win and run again. So I think talent for talent, this is one of those fights where people are going to go, wow, okay, the main card started, because the speed out of both of them, the leg kicks, the hand speed, the switching stances, honestly, it's going to be such an attractive fight.
Brutal game of high-level chess, isn't it? It's good. It's just going to be a fantastic way to kick off that main card. Just before it, by the way, David Grant will have been in the octagon.
Away, man.
That's it. And he's taking on Daniel Marcos, which should be a fantastic fight, and it's great to have David Grant back on British soil, first time since 2016. We were speaking earlier on, he's had a beaming smile on his face all week, and I think the fans are in for a real treat, aren't they? Because whilst he's been on the road, he's been finishing people, he's been having absolute barn burners all over the gaff.
Yeah, and he's fighting the best people in the world. You know, he's fighting high-level guys out on the road in America, different arenas, at the Apex, taking on veterans like Rafael Assunção, fighting people, hot contenders like Marlon Chito Vera, and now here he is, and his opponent Daniel Marcos making his UFC debut. But he had a great win on the contender. Oh no, sorry, not his debut. That was last time out. He's had one in the UFC. So it's a big opportunity for Marcos. Yeah. And he's a guy. I think he's Peruvian. He came from very, very hard times, and now he's using this to turn his life around. Now he finds himself in London. I was speaking to him through a translator yesterday. He's so excited to be here. He can't believe where his life has taken him, you know. And he knows Davy Grant, again, as I said, with the level of competition that he's fought, if he can beat a Davy Grant, then that sets him his stall out pretty high. The UFC will take notice. They hold on a minute, we've got something special on our hands. That's why Davy cannot take this lightly.
Yeah, listen, and I've got to be honest, Davey has become a highlight reel away from home. But that last fight in Manchester, he was rubbish. It was the worst performance we've seen of him in the UFC. So, listen, I didn't bring that up with him, obviously, but he's got to bring that away form back home with him.
Rubbish.
Well, you know, it was one of his poorest performances.
No, 7 years ago,
he's been incredible, and I just want to make sure he brings that away form back home. Doesn't put too much pressure on himself. But I like the fact, listen, I've got my sons coming down from the northeast. They're going to be cage side for the first time. That brings it a different vibe, and I think we'll see him step up his levels even more.
Also brings a lot of pressure, though. Of
course it does.
Brings a lot of pressure, because the old saying is fighters, you know, I will never lose in front of my children. Well, people do lose in front of their children. You know, I had Callum corner me in Glasgow. I've talked about it many times, and I said never again, never, because I was far too emotional. Because when you walk in, you give your cornerman a hug. When I hugged Callum, pardon me, I almost started crying. I'm like, son, we can't do this again. I was getting too emotional. So the kids are there, the wife is there, the friends are there, the family's there. But that does bring a little bit of extra pressure, because you want to put a show on. And it's all well and good looking world class on the other side of the world, but now you're in your own backyard. You've got people coming down, you've got all your friends and family, someone from the corner shop, they're all coming down to support you. Come on, Davey. And now you've got to live up to that. You've got to go out there in the octagon and fight someone that wants it just as bad as you do. A guy that used to sleep in his car, the guy that was homeless, a guy that is so grateful to be here, and all he's got to do is whoop Davey Grant. It's not easy for either man.
No, it's a great fight, and that's the featured prelim, which sets up a sensational main card, which we've just been speaking about throughout the course of this morning, getting you all ready for it, kicking off with Lerone Murphy and Josh Koulibaly, which is set to be an absolute cracker. As you can see, the top of the tree there, they're not heavyweights, but on deck. Both guys have already weighed in and are rehydrating as we speak. Tom Aspinall versus Marcin Tybura. Big ramifications of the heavyweight division. The winner of that propels themselves further into that top five and sets themselves on a course for maybe an eliminator for the winner of John's Stipe, which is coming up later on this year. We are currently on weigh-in day, just checking the clock. Only 15 minutes.
Mate, just grabbing my water.
About 18 minutes left, something like that. Everybody's weighed in bar one. We're just waiting for Johnny Parsons. Johnny Parsons is Danny Roberts' opponent in the welterweight division. I haven't heard anything as of yet as to where Johnny is at, but everybody else has come through, everybody else has hit weight. As I said, the main event, co-main event, they were through relatively early, through the first half an hour. Everybody signed, sealed and delivered, and all in good spirits. Speaking of good spirits, you were catching up with Molly McCann a little earlier on this week, having a little bit of a chat with her, seeing where she's at, this new Zen Molly that we've been around all week, and she was talking about her opponent.
You've obviously got Julia Stolyarenko this weekend. She's a big girl.
Oh, aye.
She was, what was she in October? 140?
Yeah.
You know, so listen, You know how it feels from past history.
Well, listen, what was I?
Oh
yeah, I was a fat one once. I was still never get that six pack, do I? But now I know.
She's going to have a tough week.
She's going to have my UFC debut week. I know that's what she's coming in for. However, this will have been 22 weeks by the time we fight from the day we was notified about this fight. That isn't long enough to make the commitment to the diet. I've had to make a commitment to my shape, to my fighting style for this fight approach. She's got it. Look, she's a world champion, a gold medalist in the IBJJF Worlds as a black belt. She's good at competition. She's jiu-jitsu gi girl. She's been on the Ultimate Fighter. She's fought some really big names, do you know what I mean? And she's got impressive finishes. So this is no walk in the park. I'm literally going to be up against the brick wall. But there's one thing I know about myself, and that when I've got to get in the trenches and I've got to dig deep, I don't have to search for it, it's just there, do you know what I mean? I'm able to push through most adversity, especially being tired. I don't think I've ever been out-manoeuvred or out-cardioed when we've got into that last round, and it's like neck and neck, do you know what I mean? So
But that's when we see the best of you. When the adversity, when it's against the wall, when it's time to
go.
Yeah.
There she is. You can't miss them teeth anywhere, can you? But what did you make of you sit down with Molly this week?
Fantastic. Turkey, I think she got them from.
Everyone's going to Turkey. Paul Craig for the hair, Molly for the teeth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I need both.
She was in real good spirits.
Yeah.
She's a veteran now. She's aware of that. I think the fact that Shauna's on this undercard, a training partner for this camp, has really helped as well. It's like, I'm helping Shauna adjust and things like that. And she feels like been a lot of questions this week about, Molly, well, there's guys further down who are ranked and you're not ranked. Should you be the co-main event? And she's like, yeah, I should be the co-main event. I deserve to be where I am on this card because of the body of work I've put together in the UFC. Yes, it all hasn't been sunshine and rainbows. Yes, I've had a couple of defeats in there, but she turns up every single time. She brings the party. As Mike said, when she wins, there's nothing quite like it in the UFC, the way she celebrates and parties and everything else. So she's there on merit, and she's breaking boundaries every time. First English woman to win in the UFC. First English woman to win by knockout in the UFC. Now the first English woman to be co-headliner in the UFC. And she appreciates all that, and she's worked hard for it.
Yeah. What do you make of an opponent, Stoliarenko, and this matchup?
Stoliarenko, I said it before, she's very confident. She believes that her kickboxing is the perfect antidote to the boxing of Molly, and I see her point there because kicks are a longer range weapon attack, so I think she's going to try and stay out the range, stay out the pocket, use push kicks, use head kicks, and a lot of footwork, and she believes she can take it down whenever she wants as well. I don't know if she can, right? Yeah, of course, that's what you got to think. You got to believe that your coaches are going to pump you up. Listen, Molly's been doing a lot of extra work. She's been working on the takedown defense, working on getting back to her feet and defending submissions as well. I think Molly can cut the cage off, force her back up against the fence, and we've seen if she gets someone backed up against the fence, she lets go with those hands. The speed is blisteringly fast. Okay, she puts together great combinations, very fluent, beautiful shots, goes to the body, comes upstairs, and she throws the spinning elbows as well. I asked her the other day, I said, how long until we throw a spinning elbow? She said, it'll be round 2. I'm like, shut up. It'll be the first 30 seconds, I guarantee.
She's also got a little bit of a treat for the fans regarding the ring walk. We don't want to give it away.
I have no idea I keep hearing you guys talk about this.
She's had a little remix made for the fans, man. I think she's going to be...
She's got to give the Evertonians something to smile about, hasn't she? Let's be honest with you, they haven't got much to smile about.
She's going to be throwing a party anyway as she makes her way to the Octagon on Saturday night. We're just waiting here on the official weigh-ins for Johnny Parsons. A moment or two ago, they did bring out the curtain.
I think he's coming right now.
You reckon he's in? Well,
saying something.
Well,
he's the last to go.
I can see John Gooden just picking up his microphone there, so maybe he's about to announce Johnny Parsons. Johnny Parsons is the guy that he's taking on Danny Roberts, who weighed in earlier on. Every fighter has been through. Everybody's hit weight. There hasn't been a problem with anything bar this. And obviously, we've still got around about 12 minutes officially for him to be able to weigh in. Hopefully he's safe and healthy, and we can get that fight on, because it is a fight I'm extremely excited about. Danny Roberts, obviously, he's not been on UK soil since 2019, so hopefully we can get that fight on.
Yeah, look, listen, you know, the reality is you have a 2-hour window, and everyone has different ways of doing it.
Yeah.
Now, the fact that they have brought out the towel,
curtain.
the
Yeah, the
curtain,
curtain.
there
The
you go,
curtain,
shows that he's going to get the knacks off, you know what I mean? So he's trying to be as light
knacks.
as
I've not
possible.
heard knacks for ages,
I
mate.
mean,
No,
get the knacks off.
They're currently shaving off his mullet backstage,
Yeah.
I think, just to get as much weight off as
So
possible.
look, listen, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's been a botched weight cut.
No.
You know, you
But
make
he's pushed it
plan
to
a
the
bit,
limit.
But he has
Yeah.
pushed it to the limit, and it's getting a little concerning now.
We might just have it wrong though. His nickname's the Slugger Nose. We thought it was because he's a slugger. Maybe it's just he moves really slowly. Maybe he's just took his time coming downstairs.
It's not your best work, Nick.
No, it's not. It's not. I wonder where you were going there.
Oh dear.
Okay.
Oh dear.
Moving on. We hope he's fit and healthy anyway, because as a fight, I mean, it matches up nicely, doesn't it? And we want to see Danny fight on UK soil.
Of course, Danny's been away. What is it now? He's been in the UFC best part of a decade. We haven't seen him since pre-pandemic times. He's been away. He's been winning on the road. He's been losing some on the road. He always brings it. Listen, we know his background. He was a professional boxer before he came to MMA, so he loves to throw. He's a slick southpaw with a cracking left hook, and he always throws down. Look at some of the power shots. It says itself. Just his timing is perfect. And this guy is perfectly matched for him. Johnny Parsons, the same thing. He's a boxer, traditionally a kickboxer. He likes to throw hands, got no submissions on him, only knockouts on his wins as well. So I think it's a great matchup. Let's just hope we get it signed off.
Yeah.
Well, I think we will, because I think Johnny Parsons is walking
Yeah,
out.
he is here. He is here.
Right now.
Johnny Parsons.
Well, he's still got the mullet, so maybe he isn't as tight as we thought.
So let's see where he's at. Let's get a picture on that. Here's Johnny.
And he's a lifelong kickboxer, as you said a moment ago, Nick. You know, I've been teaching at Syndicate MMA in Las Vegas, Muay Thai. So he's very well skilled on the feet, a master of the 8 limbs, the punches, knees, elbows and kicks. But can he master the scale?
Kicks off.
And
There you go.
the knacks are off.
A few nervous.
He's missed.
172 pounds for Johnny Parsons.
He's missed it by a pound.
By a pound.
He's missed it by a pound. I think that might be the first time he's missed weight in his career. He'd be devastated by that, disappointed. But the good thing about that, Mike, is if there is a good thing, it is only a pound, and that isn't gonna interfere with the fight you would have thought.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought so, but if I'm not mistaken, he still has a window to go and try and get that extra pound off.
He's got about 10 minutes. Looking at his face, I don't think he's going to go away and get anything off in the next 10 minutes.
I think they're just calling it a day there. No, but don't they extend it? If you miss weight the first time, then you have an extra.
It just depends. It depends on what the commission is
Right.
and what the ruling is locally. So he may well buy an extra hour. He may not want an extra hour. He's just used basically the full 2-hour remit. So he's obviously struggling. And with it only being a pound, it's not. Danny Roberts is not going to knock the fight back, but he's probably going to lose 20% of his purse.
Which Danny will inherit.
Yes.
So it's happy days for him. I mean, it's not how you want to earn money. You don't want to take it out of your opponent's back pocket. But listen, these are the rules. These
Yeah,
are
he signed a contract for 171. You've got to hit 171. So he's missed that, and obviously
and statistically, people that miss weight, it seems to be an advantage. I'm not sure what the actual stat is, but it's people that miss weight, they have a high percentage of going on to win the fight. And Dominic Cruz will actually tell you he thinks it's a strategic move by some fighters. I disagree. I don't think that at all. I don't think anyone purposely misses weight to gain an advantage. But Dominic does think that. And there is other people that believe that as well, because as I say, the stats do show you miss weight, you're going to come in, you're going to be heavier, you're going to be stronger, and it gives you an advantage in the fight. Say some people, not me.
Yeah. Listen, obviously, that kind of concludes everything that we are doing this morning. We've got a little bit of action for you this afternoon as well, as we're going to be bringing you the ceremonial weigh-ins when everybody's a little bit more rehydrated and a bit more corpus mentis. Paul Craig will have his war paint on, so make sure you come along for that on TNT Sports a little bit later on. Just looking ahead, because obviously we're all excited about UFC London, just looking ahead, UFC 291's, 8 days away? Everybody's extremely excited about that, especially the main event. Justin versus Dustin, set to be a cracker, Nick.
It's going to be insane. You know, the BMF belt's on the line, but that's just kind of the sprinkling on top of the cake. We've seen them fight first, what was it now, 6 years ago? Five years ago.
2018.
Absolutely sensational fight, backwards and forwards, the leg kicks of Justin, the incredible boxing of Dustin. That was what overcome in the end, the 4th round finish. Sensational. This is not round number 1, this will be round number 5. I cannot wait for it. And as well as crowning a new BMF champion, we will also find out who the next contender will be in the lightweight division.
And let's remember, this is 2 of the most exciting fighters in all of sports and all of the UFC. I mean, Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier, the both of them, they are must-see TV. You cannot miss the way that they fight. Every time they step foot in an octagon, they are fight of the night. They are the main attraction. They are the people that the fans want to see. I mean, just the way they fight. I mean, last time Fiziev here in March.
Unbelievable.
I mean, what a performance against Fiziev, who's a formidable striker, and Justin Gaethje has ridiculous leg kicks. He butchered Dustin Poirier with them last time. You know, and then the adjustments that Justin made in rounds 2 and 3 against Fiziev, using the uppercut, using the shots, beautiful. And we all know Dustin Poirier. I mean, that fight last time against Michael Chandler, back and forth, some beautiful boxing, an excellent display. 2 wins over McGregor before that. I mean, come on, let's go.
Listen, when you think of UFC 291. They've literally got all the most violent characters in the UFC and thrown them all on one card. Of course, we're talking about the main event there. We've got a great fight in the light heavyweight division with big ramifications for Jan Blachowicz and Alex Pereira stepping up in weight. Kevin Holland's on this card, Tony Ferguson's on this card. And just to balance it out with all these BMFs knocking about, Wonder Boy's on there as well. Yeah, you've got to keep it nice. You've got to balance all that out. That is obviously a week tomorrow, so make sure you come and join us for that. TNT Sports 1 and Discovery Plus, 1 a.m. for the prelims, 3 for that main card, which is going to be absolutely outstanding, isn't it? But that's a week away. We've still got some action to get through, obviously, in the next 24, 36 hours, because UFC London, everybody's weighed in. Only 1 miss of weight, and that was for Johnny Parsons. He hit 172 in his fight. We'll keep you up to date with that throughout the course of the day on our socials as to how that fight, whether it doesn't materialise or not. I'm sure it will, but we'll keep you up to date with the official stuff. But let's have a look at this card that you can experience from early doors. That's right, we're bringing you the early prelims, kicking off there with Rafael Fio taking on Daniel Perez. That cracking fight there is the featured early prelim between Chris Duncan and Yafil Ashmouz, and of course Shona Bannon makes her UFC debut. All excited about that from 4:45. Look at the time there. Make sure you come and join us for it. We'll give you a little bit of a preview of the night, and then obviously we'll get into the early prelims. That'll lead us into the prelims. Whew, my days, fight after fight after fight after fight, culminating with Davy Grant back on British soil for the first time since 2016, and then that'll send us into that main card. Lerone Murphy gets us underway with Josh Culibao, which could be the fight of the night. Loads of entertainment there for you, all culminating in Tom Aspinall taking on Marcin Tybura. Big ramifications for that heavyweight division. As I said, make sure you come and join us for these fights from 4:45. That's when the early prelims get underway. Main card gets going from 8 o'clock on TNT Sports.
Johnny Parsons, he will be using his extra hour.
There you Well done, Michael.
Thank you very much.
It's
You
the
were
commission.
right, Michael.
Yeah, you were right,
It's
Michael.
not the commission, it's the rule set. You're allowed another hour if you miss weight.
There you go.
Nick put me right in my place, and I was like, oh, I'll just be quiet because maybe.
The good thing is, we're going to keep going for an hour and wait for
Whoa! Let's go. I'll be at the bar.
Yeah.
I'll see you at the ceremonial weigh-ins. Over and out. This is Adam Catterall. This is Nick Peet. Take it easy, guys.
That's it. We are signing off. We're not sticking around for an extra hour, but we will keep you up to date on social with everything that's going on with Johnny Parsons. Now, I'm sure you have noticed, right? Yes, it's us, but the name has changed, all right? But it is the same game. Let's give you a little bit of an explanation as to why we are now TNT Sports.
TNT Sports is here. Come on. And we'll still be bringing you all these epic moments. Listen to the noise! You can still watch it on TV or on a new streaming home, Discovery Plus. So you can get all of this. Oh, look at this boy! It's a goal to take your breath away!
Another unbelievable achievement. There's no better feeling.
He says thank you very much. And even this.
Right, let's do this. How can I trust that?
In one subscription. So.
You don't want to miss this.
Oi, Bagayo, that was my line. TNT Sports. Available now on your TV and Discovery Plus.
British fans are some of the most passionate in the world.
Good evening, fight fans, and welcome to London, England.
When you hear the support, it's almost impossible to not fire your heart out.
He's done it!
We're not going to need a roof.
This is Alamo TV! What an absolute legend!
The energy in this place.
Nights don't get any bigger than this for British mixed martial arts.
Come on, listen to this crowd. We are up for a real treat.